Vinny Tortorich here. Hey man, if you're a fan of Izzy, you might be a fan of me too. I'm the guy that gets people to lose a lot of weight. I have something free for you guys. This is no clickbait. Just go to vinnytortorich.com and there's a big banner. It's a free PDF, how to lose weight. It's an intro guide to NSNG at vinnytortorich.com. Go check it out exclusively for anyone who listens to Izzy Presley. Thank you.
RockstarLeatherworks.com is your home for badass rock and roll gear. Featuring 100% handmade leather bands, watches, cuffs, bracelets, and more, Rockstar Leatherworks has something for everybody. Whether you are going to the show or you are in it, you can find something to fit your needs. Choose from a variety of designs or create your own masterpiece. Their bands and watches are second to none. They also ship internationally. Who needs a stage to be a rock star? Check out RockstarLeatherworks.com.
Hey ladies, Sass Pants Designs will take that band shirt that everyone has and make it your own in a flattering, sassy, and simple way. There are one-of-a-kind tank tops, halter tops, lace-up tees, and tube top dresses already in stock. Check out the online store at sasspantsrocks.com and like Sass Pants Designs on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for special offers and custom orders. Use the code IZZY25 for 25% off of your entire order at sasspantsrocks.com. That's sasspantsrocks.com. Let Sass Pants make you the envy of the party.
Replay Guitar Exchange is your premier independent guitar store. Being independent is good. With all of the major brands, including new, vintage, and pre-owned, you can find the guitar, bass, amp, or accessory you are dreaming of. From vintage to the newest models, Replay Guitar Exchange can help you find that perfect piece. They have industry veteran expert staff, all players like you down to the owner. You aren't just getting a great guitar, you're getting the Replay difference. Find them online at replayguitar.com and find your dream guitar today.
Hi, this is Bobby Brown, and welcome to another fucking podcast.
My liver's all twisted up. But you know what I did? I loaded up with alcohol, more specifically vodka, whiskey, beer, tequila, more beer, more vodka, more whiskey, and more beer.
Who wants an orange whip? Orange whip? Orange whip? 3 orange whips.
So you're bored, are ya? I've come here to break your monotony. Let me have my piece, because I'm shooting with this one, folks. I don't care, man. The unscripted, uncensored, loose cannon of commentary.
Why did you say that? Why? Why? You come out with stink like that? Poop. Poop mouth. Poop out of your mouth.
See, son? Old legends never die. They just lose weight.
Like a legend and an out-of-work bum look a lot alike, Daddy.
I've got a midget friend, an albino friend, and another friend who thinks Lord of the Rings is real. Together we call ourselves the Unfuckables.
Quinton is in! Let the fun begin!
Body touch!
God, you're an asshole, man.
I've never heard of Van Halen.
Hello, Hollywood! Hello, world! Hello, my loyal minions. It is good to see you, and as always, good to be seen. It is another fucking podcast, Drunken Summit style, doing KISS Dynasty versus Unmasked tonight, and might get into the Ace Frehley record that Paul Gargano just absolutely loved. And we're going to do all that stuff in just a little bit. Make sure you guys do check out all the social media at Real Izzy Presley, all the way across the board, Twitter, Instagram, and the Facebook. And of course, the show page is Another Effing Podcast. If you want to donate to the show, it's very, very easy. It is izzypresley at yahoo.com is your PayPal. CashApp, $ Izzy Presley, and Real Izzy Presley on the Venmo. You want to buy shirts, they are available. Teespring, yada, yada, yada. You guys know the routine. Share, tell your friends, all that kind of good stuff. So we are going to bring our esteemed panel in. Ladies and gentlemen, he is from the Slash Band and the Bruce Kulick Band, and he has the most fan accounts on Twitter that I've ever seen in my life. Ladies and gentlemen, Todd Kerns, welcome back to the show.
Hello, hello, hello.
Great to see you. Paul Gargano, Metal Edge Magazine. Welcome back. Chad Stewart, Faster Pussycat, Moto Christ, and a tribute to Ace Frehley. And first timer, and very proud to have him. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Ahmet Zappa.
I am thrilled to be here. Love it, Izzy. And I'm fucking pumped to talk about all things KISS. You can count me in. If you want to talk about KISS, I'm fucking in, bro.
Love it. I fucking love it. I love it. So the first half of the show, I wanted to talk about the new Ace record, but Ahmet has a hard out at 7. So we are going to get into the throwdown in the first half. Dynasty versus Unmasked. And I have seen so many people lately expressing their love for KISS Unmasked.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I listened to it twice today.
Is it weird to admit you're stupid on your own show?
I admit that all the time. It's part of my charm. Oh, yeah, and it is a Drunken Summit, so cheers, everybody. Little shot of Jack Daniels to kick off the night. Oh, I love my liver.
It doesn't love you.
No. It does not. So this was this whole era, 78 to 80 was like a weird era for KISS because they really changed and they obviously went down more of the pop route. Paul started working with Desmond Child, of course, which spawned that amazing hit I Was Made for Loving You with Dynasty. And I think we should start with Dynasty because that was the first one. Coming off of the solo records, boom, we've got Dynasty. Let's go through initial thoughts on it. I think that's what we should do. We'll go through the thoughts on the two records. Then we'll just then maybe we go side by side and compare them.
Yeah, let's do that. Cool. Let's be honest. Most KISS fans had checked out by this point.
Yes.
Is that true? Because I remember, I guess I was specifically the perfect age because I think we were into KISS and a new KISS record came out. And to me, it was just like the law. You went and you got the new KISS record. You listened to it. You loved it. And you and your friends, it seemed like all my friends, we all loved Dynasty was massive because of that song. That song, took it to a whole other. But then it's got a ton of great Ace stuff on it, like 2000 Man, the Stones cover.
Hard Times.
Yeah, it's badass. Right. Like all that stuff is really, really cool. And the Gene songs are great. Charisma. Yep.
I feel
Naked
like
City.
I feel like
no, that's on Unmasked.
That's on Unmasked. Sorry,
I never got the memo that you weren't supposed to.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, I love these records.
I think I'm the same way, and I think it also depends. I think where you came in, how you came in. Right. I didn't come in because of an older brother or an older sister that loved the band. I discovered them on my own, and I literally discovered them on my own. And I was 9 years old when Dynasty came out. So it's like you grow up, you love this. Like I wasn't old enough to know any better than, oh, this is bad KISS or this isn't the best KISS. This isn't whatever. So for me, this is the first album that I really kind of called my own. Like the other one I was backwards into. This was the first album that was my album, and I love this record.
Dynasty is what you're saying. Dynasty is
Dynasty. Yeah.
I think Dynasty fucking rocks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot harder edge than a lot of people give it credit for because they think, oh yeah, that's their disco record. Well, yes, I Was Made for Love and it was a disco song. And Peter's song also got that disco pop feel too.
Right.
Other than Ace's killer fucking guitar solo in there.
But let's be honest, that's probably one of Peter's best songs.
Yeah.
Dirty Living.
To be honest, both of those records are some of Peter's best drumming. Just kidding. Just kidding.
There, I see it.
Just kidding.
You guys.
Oh, Anton Fig, you were so clever.
Paul, am I remembering this correctly? And guys, because I think this might be my entry point to KISS too, because this is I feel like more of the action figures for KISS were pumped out around this particular time, because I do think I Was Made for Loving You was this they were able to get a bigger piece of the audience, and create more awareness. Certainly they were on rocket thrusters with all their licensing and merchandising at this point. Right. And they were rock and roll superheroes. They still are to me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think that this is probably when I was like, oh, I need everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Needed the lunchbox. Needed the It was had to have it all.
Yeah, dude, it was this. It was KISS. It was Mork and Mindy.
Yeah, Charlie's Angels.
Yeah. All of it.
Yeah.
I think the Fall Guy came a couple of years later, but that was
Sure. Yeah. I have the KISS pinball machine in my living room from 1979. So I think at that time
I have one too.
Wait, this is what a fucking nerd I am, and because you said this, Paul. Okay, how about this?
Here we go. Uh-oh.
Here it comes.
Uh-oh.
Is he gonna roll his pinball machine into the shot?
Or his unmasked tattoo. Oh.
Yes. Oh, look at that.
Wow. That's a
Wow.
The fall guy.
Oh my God.
I love it.
Do you remember what his name was on that show? What Lee Major's character's name was? Colt Seavers.
Colt Seavers, the unknown stuntman.
The unknown, yeah. My brother was like, that's a cool name. I'm going to name my son that someday. He's like 7 at the time. He's telling me he's going to name his son Colt Seavers. Colt Seavers Kerns.
Did he?
That's awesome.
No. He had a daughter. Yeah.
I think that, like, you know, you say a lot of people had checked out by that time. I think it was more the older, older crowd.
Yeah, the older crowd. Yeah.
Sure, I could see that.
If the solo records didn't do it, I Was Made for Loving You did.
I guess.
All right, like, can we just? There's a right way to answer this question, and this is a friendship test as to whether or not I just fucking exit this show right now. I need to know what the actual order of the solo records from best to worst.
Oh, interesting.
You know, because I know what the correct answer is, but this is my friendship test to you all.
It's like a litmus test.
I think I do too, but
I'll give you a hint. Peter Chris's record is last.
I'll go.
Yes, 100%.
I'll take the plunge and go first if you want me to.
Go for it.
I'm gonna go Ace, Paul, Gene, Peter.
That's my order as well.
That's my order as well.
Although I really did enjoy.
Actually, I'm gonna flip. Paul.
Okay.
Paul, Ace, Gene, Peter.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah.
Wow.
That is
controversial.
Yeah. This is.
There's some great pop songs on that Paul record.
Wrong. I'll you know, I in my opinion, and I'd love to know yours. My opinion, it goes Ace, Gene, Paul, Peter.
Really?
This is for me. Ace is obviously number one. And that's not because I'm a fucking Ace wonk and I have an Ace Frehley tribute band with Chad. I really love the
fucking Catalina wine mixer next year. Have you been?
Yes.
God,
always. Yeah. Love the fucking Catalina wine mixer.
Catalina wine.
I have trouble with the Gene and Paul one, and I want to flip them sometimes and put Gene second and Paul third, with Peter tied for third, because I think
drugs are you on?
I think the Peter Criss solo record was one of the most underrated fucking records they ever put out with the KISS logo on it.
Is this Alan Funtz like?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Is this who's coming out of the closet?
I'm looking for a gong. There's got to be a gong around.
Right,
dude. I am dead serious. If you listen to that record without the fact that you think you're going to hear a KISS record,
you need mental health.
Right.
Record.
Yeah.
The songs kind of suck too, dude.
No,
honestly.
they don't.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, but when you were 9 years old, did those songs suck? I listened to those records all day long.
Radioactive is one of my favorite fucking songs of all time.
Dude,
no.
That album's
Gene's record. Look, he to me on his solo record, he was far more exploratory and
100%.
doing more interesting things than everyone else.
Yeah.
How can you not love Living in Sin at the Holiday Inn? I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, awesome.
Look, I wouldn't argue. Like, Paul and Gene are really close for me. I mean, Ace is a distant first and Peter's a distant last. I wouldn't argue with anybody putting Gene before Paul. I have so much history with Gene. I will always put Paul ahead of Gene. So if Paul Stanley put out a song that said Paul Gargano sucks, I would still like it more than a lot of stuff Gene does, just because
Wow.
I gotta say that song "Paul Gargano Sucks" is actually a really good song.
It's weird though, because Peter have a crush on Pandemic Paul Stanley or something.
Desmond Child co-wrote that one, I think.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I don't know. I love.
That's a whole nother song, Todd.
A whole other ball of wax there.
Oh boy! Wow.
Better him than Vinny Poncia.
Oh sure, who produced the Peter Criss record, and then went on to like have Peter not play on the record he was producing for KISS.
Right.
That's what happens when you produce a record. You realize you don't want him playing on the next one you work on. What the?
Ouch! Ouch!
Hey, when Peter had his shit together, everyone,
of course,
Peter and Ace.
Yeah.
I've seen Ace play solo, and he really is the heart and soul and the feel of that band, you know. And I hate that that the bands break up. I hate all the fucking mishigas with them. They're just such an amazing band. And you know, the debate between Dynasty and Unmasked, you know, it's actually really hard for me because I really genuinely like both records a hell of a lot.
I do too.
One of the things for me that I think has always fascinated me about the band, they always had a reputation for being heavier than I think they ever really were in the non-makeup era. They had a reputation, like they were supposed to be this hard rock, back then heavy metal band, but they were never really that heavy. They had their heavy moments, and I think especially going back to Unmasked quite more than 2 times over the past couple of days, going back to that, it's really not a bad record. It just, I feel like it's a poorly executed record because it kind of stands on this island in the KISS catalog where it really sounded like they were trying to fit in with that whole like soft rock, mellow gold yacht rock. Now we call it yacht rock, but half that album was a yacht rock record, and it just didn't really fit.
Fuck you. No, it wasn't. No.
You don't agree?
No, that's like you saying right now, you're like, no, there really are great records, but then you're shitting on yacht rock, which, by the way,
I love yacht rock. I'm not shitting on yacht rock. I'm saying it was a poorly.
If Gordon Lightfoot was sitting on my lap right now, I'd be was there. And he's just fucking sundown me right in my fucking ear canal, bro. I need it.
No, my point is it's not a well executed yacht rock record. Like, it's just, you feel that's what my problem is. Like, I love yacht rock. It's not well executed. It was like somebody else wrote it. The band wasn't feeling it. And it was just kind of like, is it a bad record? No.
I don't know. I think Gene was feeling She's So European. I got to be honest. I think he was definitely feeling that track.
I think Pablo Cruz were feeling it more than KISS was back then.
Yeah, but it's still harder than yacht rock, though.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like heavy LRB. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Here's a great comment from the chat room. Scotty Strickland up in Canada. Heather Thomas, pink bikini, and I'm done.
Exactly.
From Fall Guy. Good call back to the Fall Guy, and I'm glad I have that lunchbox.
You have the lunchbox. I wish I still had my lunchbox.
Which cover do you guys like better?
Of the
Dynasty.
Dynasty. 100%.
Oh, God. Dynasty is like, I love Dynasty. Yeah.
It's a classic. Paul's wearing the shirt. That's how
I am wearing the shirt.
Excited he is.
Paul's like, you guys recognize this? And
he's representing.
And he takes that as like, he got a tattoo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I have the Gene tattoo across my left butt cheek. Other than that,
right.
I mean, the kid in me likes the Unmasked.
Sure, yeah.
I appreciate it for its comic,
especially the fold out. The fold out was fucking killer.
Yeah, the poster was cool. Yeah. They both had awesome posters. You know, they both came with huge posters.
I kind of felt swindled by the Unmasked. It's like you're waiting for this Unmasked, and then it's just, haha, we're not really Unmasked.
Right. But if they could redo that cover now, and instead of with the cartoon guy in the corner saying, I still think they suck, have that Leo meme in there instead of that cartoon guy, it would be fucking gold.
Or instead of Peter Criss winking, he would be flipping the three of them off with them.
Right? Right? I mean, Unmasked, I mean, that's the one record. They did not tour in the United States.
No, they did Australia. Australia, yeah. It was bold of them to put that on the front cover, though, that guy saying, I still say they stink. I remember being a kid and going like, what the hell is this? You know, it's like,
fuck that guy.
Yeah, who is this guy?
Who's this guy?
Yeah.
So, hey, Paul, maybe you know this, or maybe Ahmet, you know this. Was Shandy a bigger song in Australia, or was I Was Made for Loving You a bigger song in Australia?
I thought Shandy was huge in Australia.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying. Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
That's certainly the legend, is that it's huge over there.
Right.
I don't know that I need to care about that. even though I might get information, I'm just gonna forget it.
It's not going to add to your life.
Because I Was Made for Loving You, where people like shit on that song. That song comes on, I fucking crank it up. I fucking love it. I love it. It's KISS. It's KISS doing a disco song. To me, there's something fucking rad about that.
I love Ace's guitar solo in that song. It's so
Yeah.
brief, but it really takes it somewhere. He's really great.
But I do really like the Alive 3 version better when it's really fucking heavy.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Paul sings it a whole octave higher. It's way heavier. Yeah.
I just looked, by the way. Shandy was top 10. It went to number 10 in Australia. I Was Made for Loving You was number 2.
Okay.
Oh wow.
In Australia.
But the guy
now you can forget that information on me.
Yes, exactly.
If I was a betting man, I would have bet that I Was Made for Loving You was a bigger hit. But Australia, there's some weird factoid that.
But they go backwards in Australia, don't they?
Right.
That's true.
That's a good point. Well, let me ask you this: do you think that they did so well in Australia on that tour? I mean, had they gone there before that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, they went there. They went there for Dynasty for sure.
Oh, they went for Dynasty. Yeah,
Did
that's
they?
right.
Yeah, I've got the bootleg of the Sydney show somewhere.
There you go. Somebody Google that.
Who do you?
I'm on it right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Who out of all of your friends is or people that you know is the biggest KISS fan? Because I know there's one particular musician pal who's I'm not great friends with him. I've had some really fun times with him, but he surprised me, and I bet you might all know who I'm talking about. Who I believe to be the biggest KISS fan.
Aside from Trunk.
Aside from Trunk, yeah. There's a particular singer that I'm thinking of. I'm wondering.
Oh, Sebastian.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
Dude, if we're gonna fucking talk about KISS,
That's an amazing impersonation.
I know, I said that before.
Fucking awesome, dude.
Dude, there was Jack Daniels and cocaine.
Izzy, for real, I'm going to have you on my show as
Dude, if you want me to, I'd fucking love it. Dude, can we just talk about KISS?
Right.
Yeah, and you could have Craig Gasson and Sebastian and Gene Simmons can debate.
Yeah, you guys can
battle. That would be hilarious.
Kidline.com or whatever.
I was actually hoping that Jericho would have me on when, even though I don't think he knows I do that impression, but when him and Baz were having that fucking spat on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
That could have been funny.
Dude, you want to have a fucking singing throwdown? Dude, I remember you, fucking Fozzy. Come on.
Pretty good.
You just need to start just doing voiceovers on videos as fake Sebastian Bach.
Sebastian threatens to kill you.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
It should be about 4 days away if you start now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. I am not seeing. Okay, I see Canada. I see U.S. for Dynasty. I am not seeing any
Australia
dates outside of North America
for Dynasty.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Interesting. I thought did they take the same? Well, did they take the same?
Yeah, they
stage?
used the Dynasty set in us for the Unmasked.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Eric Carr was playing on that. Remember?
No, wait, hold on a second. Did they change the name of a country just for one moment in time so that Chad actually has the information? I mean, is that possible? Did they flip flop the names of where they played?
Maybe the bootleg is for a guy named Sydney.
No, the bootleg may be from Unmasked. Actually, now that I think about
it, that one was been going around forever. It ended up on one of the Kissology things that Sydney show.
That's true.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I mean, watching Eric play the Peter songs, then I'm sorry, Eric's an amazing drummer, but Eric just didn't have that feel.
It was different.
He's a heavy metal drummer.
Yeah.
I like.
He didn't have,
It was hard. It was hard to adjust to any kind of change in that band too. Even and I really had to do some soul searching on like change the players and change the makeup, and I'm like, this is kind of fucked.
Yeah.
All through that. But then
Here's a question I got from DJ Will. He just texted me. He goes, did the pop aspect of Unmasked versus the concept of the Elder hurt KISS both coming off the heels of the success of the Dynasty release?
Yeah, I think that the Dynasty thing, as big as it was, it sort of set them up to kind of, it's one of those things where you're going to lose your hardcore rock audience that was there. And I think they lost them. And I think the young kids probably, like when you're a boy band or something like that, I think, oh my God, look who's here.
Oh my God, kid! Holy bananas!
The big guns are here. Look out.
This crew. Look at this crew. How could I resist these mugs on a Tuesday night?
He sounded all excited about the big podcast tonight that on the air today that he just could not resist popping in.
Izzy, did you set that plug up? Did you?
I
that
did
guy up
not.
doing that?
I absolutely did not. I mean, I wouldn't put that past me, but I did not.
Are you Eddie Trunk joining Izzy's show right now? Or are you Eddie Drunk joining?
Well, only Eddie Drunk on your show, Ahmed.
Yeah.
that show was fantastic, by the way.
Ahmed is the master of that.
Of getting drunk and just everything
shit.
Getting people to do stupid shit.
Right. Ed, right now we're in the middle of talking about just kind of roughly talking about Dynasty and Unmasked. What are your thoughts on the two records before we get into the song by song gimmick?
When I knew you were doing this, something jumped into my head pretty quickly because it just shows how us as fans know about and care about this stuff so much more than the people who actually made the records. Because because Ace Frehley was on my show yesterday, and I brought up 2000 Man to him on the air, and he goes, I remember doing that. Who produced that record again? That's like not even a question amongst a group like this, but the guy who made the record, he didn't even know who the producer was, so that's how ridiculous we are.
Okay, hold on. Your impersonation of Ace is so good. Can you just do me? This is like my dream come true. Izzy, can you do Sebastian? And Eddie, you do Ace. And can you both get into an argument about some random Kiss topic?
Dude, that solo you did on fucking Rock and Roll All Night was amazing. It was fucking great, dude, but it was just on the live record. I don't know why you didn't do it on the studio record.
Who the fuck is this guy? Is he Stradlin? Is he fucking Elvis Presley? Who the fuck is this guy with this fucking... I don't even know. I'm all jammed up, Curly.
Very good.
Why? I just don't understand why there was no solo on Rock and Roll All Night on the studio record.
He argued with me about that.
I know.
He literally argued with me that there was a solo on the studio version of Rock and Roll All Night. And I'm saying, no, there's not. He's like, I know I did one. I go, it's not on the record. It's not on Dress to Kill. Anyway, to answer your question.
One if you didn't make the record.
True, yeah.
Kind of like Peter on Psycho Circus. We're not saying you didn't play the drums. We're just saying they aren't on the record.
Not on the record.
Brutal.
My thoughts on those two records, though, to answer your question, is I like them both. I think that Dynasty gets unfairly pigeonholed as a disco record when I don't really think outside of a song or two it is. I think there's some actual, like, some pretty meaty Kiss stuff on there that gets overlooked. It's Save Your Love has got one of my favorite ever Ace solos in it.
Classic.
So I like, Magic Touch, one of my all-time favorite Kiss songs on it. So I like the record. And as far as Unmasked is concerned, to me, Unmasked is a really good power pop album. If you like power pop, and I do, I think it's a really good power pop album. Is it a great prototypical Kiss record? No. But for what it is, it's a very polished, slick-sounding poppy rock record, and I like it.
This is what drives me crazy is like Kiss made the record, so it's a Kiss record. If they want to explore different sounds, I take it for face value. Like, is this do I like these two records? I like them a whole fucking lot. There are some other records that the Kiss made that I'm like, yeah, no, that's an adult diaper filled with adult poo.
But honestly, is
Carnival of Souls is pretty fucking terrible. That
Kiss record.
That's pretty fucking terrible.
Which one, Sean?
Carnival of Souls. See, you don't even know the fucking album.
I like stuff on that record.
Do you really?
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah, but it's not a KISS record.
The Korn.
I love the title track. Well, there's a ton of records that they didn't actually play on. You're gonna make that a criteria? The two records you're debating, the drummer wasn't on.
I don't know.
Ace was questionable.
When I think about Gene and the process, and I think it probably varies from record to record. And for some reason, I go to him. He's my favorite KISS member, right? And I like all of them, and I like the original lineup the most. And I wish that they never broke up. And I love the band. But looking at their success and how they would approach things when they're a huge group. I don't know. I kind of view it weirdly, and I don't know why. I view everything through the eyes of what I imagine Gene is thinking. For whatever reason, I don't know how that happened. It's all like it feels like it's a conversation of we're going to go after this market share. So a part of me likes the business mindset of being in a group where you're rock and roll superheroes and you're like, okay, what are we going to do next? So I think that they had all of these other things that they were contemplating before just making music, because they were a very different kind of band, because they're more like a machine. They were a business. They understood all those things. So there were all of these considerations that I kind of find fascinating from record to record to record. And then I think certain records are all about the music, and then others are all about, honestly, like a social experiment, in some ways. But that's just all in my own head. That's
actually, that was something I was going to bring up too, because I agree with you completely. But I also think one thing that has to come into play when we're talking about this whole era of KISS is the fact that this is where the wheels were falling off. I mean,
it was a disaster.
It was a
disaster.
Exactly. This was like the wheels were off in these bands. I mean, Unmasked, they weren't even writing. So it was like, and we're all in the business enough to know that when one guy in the band appears on a song, that means he might have walked through the room to get to the bathroom while it was being written. And like, they didn't even forget play on the record. Unmasked, they didn't even write the damn record. So it's like, they were such a train wreck here. I think that's also why we have what we have. They could barely keep it together to be a band, let alone put out a record. And I think that comes into play for this, The Elder, this whole era, the solo records. I mean,
the seeds were all sown by the solo record.
Right.
It was already kind of headed in that direction.
It started with solo records, Dynasty, Unmasked, Elder, and then finally, like, okay, maybe we should try to get our shit together and take our makeup off. I mean,
does somebody have the actual answer as to the impetus for the solo records? I'm sure it was something probably pretty basic of like, well, I'm the most popular member in KISS. I'll show you.
We can make four times.
I think it was Ace and Peter who were just gonna say fuck it and leave.
They were all hating each other.
Yeah, 'cause they just hated each other.
And it was a band-aid.
That wasn't that on a Bill O'Coin decision for them to, instead of breaking up, to make to go off and make solo records to try to blow some steam off?
Put the same covers on it, unify them, and make 4 times the money. Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, remember, and it was coming off the movie, which was a disaster.
Another disaster.
A disaster, except unless you were like my age. At my age,
I love it.
That movie was the best thing in the world. Yeah.
Oh yeah. By the way, for Halloween, we are going to do a watch along with that movie on the show.
Oh hell yeah!
The fight scene in slow motion, can we all agree, is maybe one of the greatest?
100%.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Here's the thing that I'll say, and I've said this a lot too. For all the credit that KISS get for being innovators, if you really look at their entire history, there were many times when they were totally guilty of being followers and following the trends and trying to jump on what was happening at that time. And when you look at Dynasty and Unmasked is a direct reaction to Dynasty, because I lived through that era. I mean, I was very young, but I lived it, and I can tell you that I know exactly what happened. So they have the big hit with Dynasty with I Was Made for Loving You, but it created this false illusion that they were suddenly going to get all this radio play and the fans were still there. They weren't. A huge amount of the fans abandoned them for Dynasty, but it was made up to some degree by young kids, little kids, young people. That was the transition to kiddie bands. That's when they became the kiddie band.
Right.
And then they had that little taste of success with a big hit, which was a disco song with a totally different audience. Unmasked comes around, they chase the pop radio thing even more, that they don't have a hit in America, and that audience who was only there for the one song leaves, and then the gaping hole presented itself of, holy shit, we lost the pop fans, and our entire fan base is alienated. And that's why you got one concert for the Unmasked tour in America, which I was at.
Put the final nail in the coffin and put out the Elder.
Yeah,
Look,
right.
I graduated high school in '82. I say this all the time. I would have physically gotten my ass beat if I wasn't 6'2". Because '82, think about the years I proudly proclaimed a KISS fan in high school. The Elder, Unmasked, Dynasty. I mean, it was ridiculous, the abuse I took.
Ed, where was the one Unmasked show that they did in the U.S.?
July 25th, 1980. It was Eric Carr's first ever show. It was at the Palladium. And, a year earlier, I saw them do 2 nights at Madison Square Garden on the Dynasty tour. A year later, they're playing a 3,000 cap theater. And that was the only American show. They used the same stage and the same costumes as Dynasty.
Did you go?
Yeah, I was there.
Really?
They had to scale the stage way back because it was a much smaller place.
Mm-hmm.
They played that show, and then they went. The really bizarre thing with that whole era is couldn't get arrested in America. One show in a theater to introduce Eric, and then they went to Europe and other parts of the world, in Australia, and it was stadiums. Like there were hits on Unmasked in other parts of the world.
But
so it was a really weird time.
We kind of talked about that before, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think that those shows were so huge in Australia because they hadn't toured there before?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I'll say this: the other interesting thing, and I've talked to Ace about this a lot. He was so unhappy at that time, but he never had more involvement in KISS in terms of songs. He has more songs. He has more songs on Dynasty, I think, than Gene does.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
And Hard Time's a fantastic song.
Yeah.
Unmasked too. He's got tons of songs. Torpedo Girl and all that stuff. Yeah, he's got tons of songs.
Torpedo Girl. Here, let's do this. Ahmet has a hard out in 20 minutes. So let's do the
Wait, before you jump. Hey, Ed, do you remember the set list from the Unmasked show in New York?
I mean,
did they do anything off? Did they do anything off Unmasked?
I'm gonna look it up.
Yes, they did. They did. They did Talk to Me, I think. They did. And they did. You know what they did, which I think is probably the best Gene song of the 2 albums. But surprisingly, they did "You're All That I Want."
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's weird.
I know that for a fact. Yeah, but I love that song actually.
We have this question from Jeffro Lee Roth in the chat room. He goes, Izzy, please ask what wasn't aired from the Ahmet Zappa episode with Eddie Trunk. If everybody doesn't know, Ahmet has a great show called Rock Tales on Sirius XM. You all need to check out. So what wasn't aired from the Ahmet episode with Eddie Trunk and why it took so long to get released? I want it uncensored.
Well, let me tell you. So Eddie did us a huge solid. So, when we were just talking with Sirius, Eddie, I was like, Eddie, look, we gotta try to figure this out. Would you mind, he's an ally.
It was the guinea pig.
He was a guinea pig for this night. So we all, I think we talked about so much stuff, but we drank so much and ate so much fucking food afterwards. I'm not avoiding the question. I can honestly tell you, I have no fucking idea. I mean, do you? I mean, I think I just remember laughing so hard at your impersonations. That's why I'm stoked that you did your Ace impersonation tonight with.
Oh, your critic, Ed, your critic on that was fucking unbelievable.
I don't remember any of it, so I honestly don't.
I could tell you were drunk because you were so hopped up and fucking excited.
Yeah, no, that is the truth.
I wasn't drunk at the start, but you got to remember, whatever you heard in that thing, whatever 48 minutes you heard over the air, we did that for like 3 hours. Because
so basically, he asked you 4 questions, and it took you 3 hours to answer all those questions?
No.
What
happened was
I'm just busting your balls.
It was a pretty casual, fun hang, and we were we were fucking around. But I gotta say, we broke out the good stuff. We had a normal conversation. I mean, what Rock Tales is all about, drinking and kind of like this. You know, we sit around and have a conversation, have some cocktails, and it's fun. And there's no one more fun than hanging out with Eddie. He's got an encyclopedic mind for all things rock and roll. But you know, Eddie, you rarely cut loose, and you fucking never do impersonations. So
ever.
All I tried to do, my whole goal was to get you to be not you. And I think
I didn't what you were pouring in that glass that night then.
Yeah, it was real hypnol. You were hypnol. You woke up. It was just the tip, but your butt was bleeding. You know?
I just like busting Eddie's balls because the first time I interviewed him, I used to write for this magazine, and I think I asked him 9 questions, and it was about an hour and a half long, and I had to get that down to 2 pages worth of print. I had material for a year.
When I did the Two Coins podcast a couple months ago, like in the middle of COVID, Jericho was giving me shit because he's like, they asked you literally one question and you talked for 45 minutes. I'm like, well, don't ask me what happened with Metal Edge because I've never told the story before. So I decided to tell them the story of what happened with Metal Edge.
Hey,
so
Paul,
like,
what happened with Metal Edge?
And go.
And see you guys.
All right, let's do this. Let's go side by side, track to track.
All right.
Dynasty track 1, I Was Made for Loving You, versus
Is That You?
Unmasked track 1, Is That You?
Is That You is a great song. Who wrote that song? Nobody in KISS wrote that song.
Gerard McMahon.
Yeah, Gerard
Thank you.
McMahon.
Who am I asking?
See, this is why
Yeah,
it's
right,
great
yeah.
that Trunk Suit, so I don't have to know that.
I found the demo for that song, or the original version of that song, on YouTube, and it's a great song. I like the original version.
Yeah,
I think
he wrote.
Better.
Didn't he write? That guy also wrote a song that was big on his soundtrack. I forget what it was.
I think you're right. I think it was the Lost Boys soundtrack.
Yes.
Wait,
Yes.
which one was it? The Conan the Barbarian saxophone player song?
No.
The Fabio dude. The Fabio
It was a
dude.
really good song. It was a very dark song. It was like a semi-hit.
That guy used to play for Tina Turner, by the way.
Cry Little Sister.
Guy.
Yeah,
Yes.
It was Cry Little Sister.
Cry Little Sister.
Really?
Yeah.
Come to your brother.
Ellie Guns did a great cover of that, by the way.
I think
So,
Manson just covered that.
Yes, Manson
Yeah.
covered
Really?
it.
Cool.
I mean,
cool.
the last
covered
year
Is That You?
Because we don't know what day. I still don't know what day it is. But yeah.
Wait a
No,
minute,
Manson
covered Is
Manson
That
covered
You?
the Lost Boys song.
Yeah.
Lost
I'd
Boys
love to hear
song.
Manson cover Is That You?
Yeah, that I'd
exactly.
love to hear.
All right,
I
let's
like
go.
it.
Let's go around the table. Ahmed, Is That You or I Was Made for Loving You?
I Was Made for Loving You is, I think,
Chad?
the better song. I love that song.
Chad?
I don't think you can argue that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a testified hit.
Yeah. Todd?
I love I Was Made for Loving You, but because I've heard it a gazillion times in my life, I will say I will always go for Is That You. I just think it's I think they did a great job of that song.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Paul?
You're completely wrong,
Yeah,
Chad.
not even close. I was Made for Loving You. Yeah, best song on both albums. Well, second best song on both albums.
Edward?
Here we go, Ed.
The song I like the most or the best song?
The song you like the most?
I like the most.
Between the two.
I love that you have both answers.
Yeah, exactly.
Both completely fucking arbitrary. So let's hear it.
Maybe just because of the burnout factor, and maybe because what it signaled.
That's what I'm
because of
talking
Kiss
about.
At the time, I'm putting Is That You on. I'm
That's
putting
my-
I Was
that's
Made
my
for
boy.
Loving You on the back burner and saying my personal. If you had asked me which one I'd rather listen to right now, it would be Is That You.
That's what I'm
All
talking about.
2000 Man versus Shandy.
2000 Man.
Well, you're wrong.
Go ahead.
Shandy.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I like 2000 Man more, but since it's a cover, I might actually give that to Shandy because it's a big song.
There
Look out. Look out.
Here, I'm gonna agree with Sandy.
I'll disqualify the cover song.
I'm gonna agree with,
I prefer 2000 Man, but it's a cover, so.
Well, here's.
So is that you?
What?
Is That You, I guess, was technically a cover too. I didn't know we were.
Yeah, but
those off
nobody
tape.
knows the.
Yeah, but
Right.
was it
True.
released actually before they did it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it was. I've heard the original version. It's
Oh
on
wow!
YouTube.
All right. There you
Ahmet,
go.
where are you going with this?
I'm going to go with Shandy and
Shandy?
and mostly because I'm just not. Everyone can beat up on me now. I'm just not the biggest Rolling Stones fan, and
That's allowed.
I didn't even know that, going into it when I first heard that song.
Oh, when I was a kid, I had no fucking clue.
Yeah.
Nobody did.
But finding that out also made me like, yeah. I was like, I genuinely had the thought, well, that's probably why I don't like that song. I'm just not a Stones fan, and everyone makes fun of me for that. But that's not my band.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Shandy I think Shandy should have been a massive hit. I think it's a great pop song. I think there's a great vocal on it. I think the production is great. I used to play that song when I worked in a record store for people, and it would come on, and people would always come to the counter and ask, who is that? And like every housewife would want to buy it. So I think that song should have been a huge hit for KISS in the US. For whatever reason, it wasn't, but it's a great pop song, and I go Shandy.
It's tough for me because being the Ace wonk that I am, and 2000 Man is the one solo that I get to take in the Act, a tribute to Ace Frehley show. But I like the unplugged version better, and I think Shandy is actually one of the best fucking songs that Paul ever was part of, and one of the best songs KISS ever fucking wrote. So I have to go Shandy.
Yeah, I mean, I just discount covers. Like Paul said, I can't always, I'm never going to really, the original has to really suck of something to go with the cover over original song.
And I also think, especially back then, we've been getting this Izzy and Ahmet know the thing we do every Friday night. We have a Zoom call. Eddie, you've done it too. Like, we always get in this debate over covers. And I think the thing in the 70s, a lot of the covers, it was more songwriting pools than it was necessarily covers, because I think a lot of the songs were in circulation with several people, and they ended up in several albums. It wasn't necessarily, I'm going to cover this person's version.
Right.
That's true, yeah.
Different versions.
Yeah,
all right, here we go. Sure Know Something versus Talk to Me.
This is tough, I think. Actually.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
Who are you going with first? Me?
Yeah.
You.
I'm going to go Sure Know Something. I think that's one of my favorite Paul songs. Sure know something, sure. Like that big old, that's my, how Paul's voice sort of changed into the metal Paul? He still had that big, thick.
Oh, that was
New York
Michael
voice.
McDonald Paul.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Fuck
totally. Yeah, I love that song. I love it a lot. He ended up doing it. Did he do that on the solo tour years later?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, no, I'm going to go with that one. I love Talk to Me. I think it's one of the, on Unmasked, it's kind of one of the classic KISS sounding kind of Ace songs, but
Right.
I'm gonna go
and a pretty big hit in Australia.
And a big hit.
Yeah, it was. Gargano.
I'm going Sure Know Something.
Chadwick?
Because of the bass line, I'm going Sure Know Something.
Edward.
I mean, I've been, even though Ace is my boy, I've been transparent about this my whole life. Paul has always been my favorite member of KISS, and his songs were always my favorite, and Sure Know Something by a mile. I love the poppiness of Sure Know Something juxtaposed against the crashing power chords in the chorus. That to me just is what I friggin' love in music and in KISS, when Paul's voice soars over those power chords, and the guitar solo played by Paul Stanley, by the way, in that song too.
And a great solo.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a great solo. It's a great song.
That's another, like Eddie mentioned this before, the power pop aspect. I feel like Sure Know Something is like really, it's Paul at his best in a lot of ways. And at its best, I look at Talk to Me as kind of like, I'd rather listen to the Knack. I mean, it's just, that's where I get that, it's like, that's not an insult. I like the Knack, but it's just, I just feel like that's kind of just how a lot of Unmasked left me. I'd rather listen to something else. It's not bad. It's just not great.
It's so weird.
Why are you shit talking the Knack, Paul?
No, I just said I like the Knack. I like the Knack. It was the first record I ever got in my life was Get the Knack. That was
next week. It's the Knack versus Unmasked.
No,
Get the Knack
it's the Knack versus the Fix.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in the bootlegger right now.
What?
I said to Todd, don't you feel like we're in the bootlegger right now?
I know. They closed down restaurants and bars around us talking this shit. Just like
I just
out sweeping, and we're still talking about.
I think it's super interesting that the four of you, because I haven't heard your answer, Izzy, are just how you all are so fucking wrong. It's just so interesting because talk to me because fucking it's an Ace song and it's
a dope ass song.
Rad. And by the way, you're like, it just sounds like the Knack. Okay, exactly.
Okay. No, I said it sounds like mediocre Knack. I didn't say it sounded Knack.
Wow. Well,
I would rather listen to the Knack.
So, like, you're a super douchebag for saying that. I get it.
No. He didn't write the Rolling Stone.
Ouch.
Talk to me better.
I have to go with Sure Know Something. I obviously Ace wonk, yada yada yada. Ace apologist, yada yada yada. But I think this is the point where Ace's songs got wordy and trying too hard to rhyme, and it's just
first of all,
to me as cool as it is.
The worst rhymey song the Kiss ever did is Room Service. Those lyrics, I'm a lucky guy. I hardly cry.
Oh, it's a great song, though.
Can't say no.
I'm just saying that I think that this has actually better lyrical content than Room Service.
Has anyone ever listened to Kiss for lyrical content?
No, never.
That's a good point.
That's like saying you don't like a Kiss record because they're cheesy. Come on.
Oh, Jesus. Let me put my log in your fireplace? Come
yes.
on.
Yeah, so I have to go with
like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah.
Naked City versus
God, I love that
Peter
song.
Criss, Dirty Livin'.
Who's going? Ahmet, go.
I'll say Naked City.
I like Naked City.
Bob Kulick co-wrote it. I really like Dirty Living. Actually, I think it's a pretty cool song. I always love Peter's voice. Actually.
I think it's one of Peter's best songs.
Yeah.
But I got to go Naked City.
But I gotta go Naked City. Yeah.
I like Gene. I like when he takes over the mic. So, that's same. Naked City.
I can see Ed just like making a. You're like Johnny Cochran. You're ready to go out and make your case.
I tell you what, Ed. I'll let you think about it for a second, and I'll go. I think Dirty Livin' would have fit better on Unmasked.
Wow.
And I'm gonna go Naked City.
I'm going Naked City. I think Dirty Livin' has too much of a disco-y feel. There's like this synth line that runs to it. I don't like that. That's not Kiss.
Right.
All right.
So Naked City, I go.
Is Peter Criss on drums on that song?
That might be the one song that he is
on.
on.
The one song because it's old Wicked Lester, I think.
Yeah.
No, he's on
lead vocals on.
That wasn't a new song. That was like an old song.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Charisma.
Oh, here we go.
Versus Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. I'm gonna say Charisma. Charisma's one of my favorite Gene songs. Really. I mean, that's a giant list, but the solo band that he did a couple years ago was doing that stuff, and I was like, yes. I was like. So yeah, I'm gonna go Charisma. That's a great song.
Wait, is it Tomorrow or is that or What Makes the World Go Round?
That's next.
Oh, that's next. Did I flip them? Okay.
I'm Charisma.
Ed?
Charisma.
Gene
Oh
Simmons.
shit! Yeah, it is. It is What Makes the World Go Round. I'm sorry, I skipped that one. My bad.
Charisma still wins for me. Charisma still
so
wins.
wait, what are we doing now? What makes the world go round against
Charisma versus What Makes the World Go Round.
I mean, I'm always Paul all the way. What makes the world go round?
I'm gonna change mine. Yeah. What makes the world go round?
I'm definitely What Makes the World Go Round is one of my favorite tracks on Unmasked. So I'm gonna go that. I like that one.
Charisma is a cool song, and Charisma was, I think, the second single from Dynasty, and I have a dance 12-inch extended remix of "I Was Made for Loving You," and I believe there's one that was.
I'm so glad you said dance remix after you said 12-inch. I have a 12-inch.
12-inch single, Todd.
I love it, Todd.
Hey. Good thing. Are you even wearing pants during this? I'm concerned.
You'll never know.
I'm still Charisma is still my choice. I mean, I'm
all right.
Me too.
You know, between the two songs.
Well, here, Ahmet, let's do this because you have a hard out in 4 minutes.
Chad, are you Charisma as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's more songs. There's more songs on Unmasked, right? And I think if the idea of like which one is better between Dynasty and Unmasked, and I think the idea is that supposedly going into this somehow Dynasty is a superior record to Unmasked. I actually disagree. I think I'm perfectly happy. I'm happy with both of them because I think they're great records. But if I'm, trying to be a contrarian, if everyone's going to be like Unmasked is somehow an inferior record, I say, fuck you. And I'm going with Unmasked.
Well, here,
this can all be settled in a knife fight at the Ralph's parking lot on Ventura.
Rock and Roll Ralph's.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah. Well, Ahmet, how about
What's funny is we won't be the only knife fight there.
Just, it's a regular knife fight.
What are you guys fighting about? And argument? Yeah, okay.
They're fighting about Bee Gees versus
yeah, ABBA.
Yeah. Enough's Enough versus Jet Boy. Like, all right, let's do this. I'm ready.
All right, Ahmet, let's do this.
Feel the shake, motherfucker.
I'm gonna finish these two records with you, and then we can go on after the break and finish our comparisons. So I'm gonna go. We'll just do this quiz round style. So we got Tomorrow versus Magic Touch.
I'm gonna go Tomorrow.
Okay. Wow. Two sides of the coin versus Hard Times. Ace versus Ace.
Wow, that's a tough one.
Hard Times is, I think, better.
I don't think that's a hard one at all. Yeah.
Well, I just mean Ace versus Ace. Yeah.
I love Hard Times.
Actually, I'd go two sides.
Wow.
Really?
Okay, Chad, just hold on to that for a second.
All right,
it's all on it.
We got X-Ray Eyes, Gene versus She's So Europe.
Oh wow, two Genes.
Yeah, no, that's like that's like Sophie's Choice.
that goes against God.
Yeah, that's Sophie's Choice for me. Really, and, European, but X-Ray Eyes is a really interesting. I hate to say that because I think it contradicts the fact that I would pick Unmasked. I think if we listen back to which songs I'm picking, I might have already maybe agreed or disagreed with myself. That Dynasty might be the better record, but fuck.
You got to go European. Come on.
I love that song. Am I getting this right? Doesn't Gene hit like one of the highest notes he's ever hit?
He does.
At the back end of that track, which is
fucking unbelievable vocal.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the best. Such a solid vocal on that.
X-Ray Eyes, he hits high at the end. That's what you're talking about.
No, we're talking about She's So European.
Right?
He does it X-Ray Eyes, too, at the end on the fade.
I'm going to call it a draw.
Yeah. It's my honest answer is X-Ray Eyes. I think it's a really kind of cool production. I like how it's produced. I like everything about it.
It's way more Gene-like, too.
Yeah.
Easy as it seems.
It captures Gene more.
Easy as it seems versus Save Your Love.
Save Your Love.
See, there, you just destroyed yourself.
You played yourself, son.
Ahmet, in the 659, you have a hard out.
There's two other songs on the other record, though.
I know.
Torpedo Girl and
all right, Torpedo Girl versus You're All That I Want.
Yeah, they're both. I picked them both because they're on that record. They're great. You guys, Eddie.
Wait, Unmasked has two more songs?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's 9 tracks on.
9 tracks on Dynasty. Yep.
And 11 on Unmasked. Guys, Todd, Chad, Paul, Eddie, I love you guys. I'm so happy we did this. Izzy, thank you for having me on the show. And all of you listening out there, please don't be COVIDiots. Stay safe. Do the fucking right thing. Be kind to one another. Everyone it's a weird fucking time. We're all going to get through this. Music is going to come back. And I so greatly appreciate these manversations with my metal friends.
This is fucking great. Ahmet, thank you so much. And since Trunk won't have me on his show, I'll fucking get hammered on your show sometime.
Okay, well, and you're all welcome anytime,
Love it, man.
What is he talking about? This guy crowbars his way in everything. So. I sent them an Ace Frehley vinyl.
Rock and roll.
About
him. Thanks, buddy.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
We're going to do this. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back in 2 minutes and 2 seconds. First half of the show brought to you by Beater Amplification. That's 2 E's, beateramplification.com. Check him out on Facebook as well. Hand-wired, hand-built, 100 watts of testicular fortitude. And yes, the Izzy Presley TCB1 will be available soon. And also our good friends over at Mackie, if you want to get in to home recording and podcasting or podcasting, check out our friends over at Mackie with the studio bundles, a very affordable way to get into it. We'll be right back. We will finish off the debate on Unmasked versus Dynasty, and then we'll get into the Ace Frehley Origins 2 record.
Oh, I can't wait to do that.
Chad Stewart, Todd Kerns, Paul Gargano, and the King, Eddie Trunk. It is another fucking podcast. Rockwood Saloon Authentic Apparel takes rock and roll fashion to a new level with their tees and tanks for men and women. They also make custom shirts, jackets, vests, pants, hoodies, beanies, and more. The Rockwood Graphics Department can design anything from your logo, t-shirt design, promo posters, band swag, and printed at great prices. From tour shirts and custom stage gear to killer threads for the street to the stage, Rockwood Saloon has it all. Rockwood Saloon, authentic rock and roll apparel for stage and street. World tour tested for quality, comfort, style, and durability. Check them out at www.rockwoodsaloon.com. That's rockwoodsaloon.com.
If you need to promote your band or business, or just want to stylize, personalize, or customize your ride, check out vid-decals.com. Want to create and customize your own stickers representing your band, or make your own bumper sticker? Vid Decals can do it. All stickers are printed on quality vinyl and can be placed on any flat surface. Stickers are an affordable way to promote your band or business. Go to vid-decals.com to get started. That's vid-decals.com. vid-decals.com.
Retro Arcade brings Minnesota and surrounding areas arcade games from the days gone by. All of those great games from pizza joints and arcades are available in cocktail units and custom machines. Dozens of favorites from your youth in one machine to complete your game room or man cave. Retro Arcade also sells and services your favorite pinball machines. Find them at facebook.com/80arcade. That's facebook.com/80arcade. Retro Arcade. Your youth is just one click away.
Hey, what's going on? This is Tom Arnold. I like fat women and cocaine. And you're listening to Izzy Presley here on another fucking podcast. And I know Izzy from Cocaine Anonymous meetings. I've actually seen him at the meetings with Ace Von Johnson from, I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but Ace has got a bad coke problem. And his sponsor is Josh Todd from, and again, I shouldn't say this out loud, but Josh is his sponsor for Buck Cherry. He's addicted to upskirt porn. And they're both being sponsored by the Eagles. The whole band, the Eagles. Anyways, another fucking podcast right here with Izzy Presley, and call your sponsor. Fucking A.
Yeah.
And we are back. Second half of the show brought to you by A&P Productions Laser Engraving Division. A&P Laser, aplaser.com. You need something laser engraved, hit them up. They can take care of it. You need a sidearm laser engraved, they can do it. Especially if you're in central Minnesota, you can just drive it to them so you don't have to break the law and ship it. Take it to them. They will take care of you. aplaser.com. And our good friend John Palumbo, johnpalumbodesign.com. You have a band, you have a website, you need a logo, you need a website done. Hit up John Palumbo, johnpalumbodesign.com. All right, we are back. Ahmet had to bounce. He had a hard out at 7 o'clock, which is sucks, but it is what it is. He's a busy fucking guy. Just happy we had him for an hour. Eddie Trunk is here. Paul Gargano is here. Todd Kerns is here. And Chad Stewart is here. Chad, did you have a chance to look at the promo for it? The Metal Edge magazine cover
Yes.
that I did? Did
Yes.
you see the very top?
No.
Where it said 2001 or 2021 Chad Stewart nude calendar.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Wait till you see it.
Yeah.
You're going to enjoy it. I'm telling you.
All right. So we left off. Did we leave off at Magic Touch?
Magic Touch.
All right.
I thought What Makes the World Go Round was the last thing I remember.
Yes. So track five. So it would be Charisma versus What Makes the World Go Round.
Right.
Now we already did Charisma.
We did that one. Yeah,
Did
we did that one.
Yeah, we're on Magic Touch. We're on Magic Touch.
I picked What Makes the World Go Round.
I was definitely Charisma. I know. Yeah, we already did Magic Touch too.
Did we?
No.
No.
No, that was up against Tomorrow.
I'm sorry.
No.
I already did Magic Touch. I'm already.
Yeah, because I think we only got through the 4, and then Ahmed had a bounce, so we just did the
And
final.
then that's right. Then you bounced ahead. Okay.
Yeah. So it would be Charisma versus What Makes the World Go Round.
Oh, Charisma for me.
Charisma for me.
These guys are.
What Makes the World Go Round for me?
Yeah, I think Charisma is a cool Gene song, but What Makes the World Go Round just because I always like Paul's songs better.
Yeah, I think that that is definitely a better song.
It's a great song. That's a tough one.
That is tough.
It is.
There's a part in that song too, like after the bridge, whenever I touch you, and then it goes into that part like dun, 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 dun. So I like when there's the poppy stuff, and then there's some Kiss guitar crunch, and I love that.
Totally, yeah. Agreed. You're not wrong.
Dude, here's a great fucking line from the from the chat room. Sledgehammer checking in. As an outsider, I can see Kiss fans are unanimously wrong about everything. You, my friend, get the Pat Fontaine laugh.
There's a segment of people that think we're wrong for liking Kiss. You realize that, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. So now we got Magic Touch versus Tomorrow.
I'm going to say Magic Touch. She's got the man. That's that big old Paul Stanley voice back there.
Yeah. I'm going Magic Touch too.
I love Tomorrow because it's good power pop, but I'm gonna make a, what do they call this? A hot take, a bold take. What do the kids call this? I will say of the entire track listing of both records, Magic Touch is my favorite song.
Wow.
Magic Touch is just everything I love about great Paul Stanley songs. Huge power chords, the vocal, the breakdown part when he goes into that falsetto, and then dun, 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 and then there's a little feedback thing.
Yeah.
And
that's
then
sick. Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you a quick thing.
Please do.
So when Kiss used to still talk to me.
Talk to Ed.
More specifically, Gene and Paul. More specifically, Paul. I did an interview with them for the first Kissology for VH1 Classic. We did it at Henson in LA. And Paul was getting ready for his solo tour at the time. And we were taking a break from shooting and having something to eat. And we're at the catering table and everyone's making a little plate. And I kind of said to Paul, I said, hey, I'm excited about the solo tour. I really hope you do some deep tracks because there's some great stuff I'd love to hear live. And he's like, so what are you thinking? And I said, well, I'll give you, he goes, he actually said, I swear on my kids. He's like, give me some ideas. So I said, well, there's two that come right to mind that I kill to hear. And he said, what are they? And I said,
Can I guess what you said? Can I guess?
Yeah.
Magic Touch?
Yeah.
1,000,000 to 1?
Yes.
Boom.
Spot on. You know me well.
Yeah.
So the funniest thing was Gene was standing right there and he hears me saying this. He goes, I don't know either of these songs. What are these songs? Swear to God. And Paul, and so then I don't know what's going to happen. I swear this story on my kids. So I just say this, we go back to shooting. That tour plays the Irving Plaza in New York. I go to the show. I'm in the upstairs area, just where they've like a rope with like they had guests and stuff. And show ends. The show's over maybe all of 3 minutes. And this was even at a point where I was like he was hot and cold with me. Like one minute he liked me, and the next minute I don't know what flipped and he hated me.
This is Paul.
So
We're talking about Paul. Okay.
This is Paul, yeah. So I just went totally as a fan. I wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't even trying to get in the velvet rope area. I was just hanging. And a guy comes out who was his tour manager and comes up to me and goes, you're Eddie Trunk. And I go, yeah. And I didn't know if he was going to throw me out or what was going to happen. And he goes, come here, Paul wants to see you. He was off stage all of 3 minutes. He whisks me by everybody, family, friends, everyone, into the dressing room. There's Paul, towel around his neck. I'll never forget. He was eating like a aluminum foil tin of some sort of Chinese food or something. And I walk in and he's sweating. He's just off stage. And as soon as the door opens, he just looks at me and goes, you got him. I told you. You told magic touch. Sure know something. What do you think? And I was like Ralph Cramden in The Honeymooners. I'm like, hum, num, num, chef the future. And I go, Paul, it was great. It was so cool you did that. He's like, yeah, how did it feel? It was like, great. And then, it was like 3 minutes. And then I was like, look, thank you for bringing me in. You got a lot of friends out there. I'll let you see your family. The show was great. And I left. But it's something I'll never forget because I literally put those things in his head and he acknowledged it at that time. And that was like the second to last time he ever talked to me. So it's a good memory.
If you don't mind me asking, not to like derail this, but I've never asked you, why did he get mad at you and stop talking to you?
Oh God. Well, that's a whole podcast.
Is that a whole podcast? Okay.
But in a nutshell, Paul, which I know because no one can figure it out because I'm such
I've heard you reference it, like I can point to Gene things with me, but I can't that's.
Look, anybody that's being truthful here knows he's a very sensitive guy to an extreme. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a combination of things, but predominantly the fact that with him, you have to be all in and on board with what the agenda is on that time. And if you're a dissenting voice and you question it or you don't agree with it, you get painted as an enemy. And in a nutshell, I've said countless times, a million times, I have no problem with Tommy Thayer. I have no problem with Eric Singer. They're tremendous musicians. They're good people. I know them both. I don't blame them for having the gig. I don't blame them for what they do. But as a lifelong KISS fan, that was a line in the sand that I just choose not to go see it. I can't look at another guy sing and shock me. I don't care, dressed as Ace. I don't care if it's Tommy or anyone. It's over for me. So 2000 back, I'm good.
Yeah. All right.
That's all. I don't blame them for doing it. People still want to go. I don't judge them. But I can't, as a fan, everybody's got a line. And let's be honest, as KISS fans, we've all accepted a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. We really have.
We're debating Dynasty versus Unmasked. We've a lot.
Ed, all you got to do to get back on his good graces is just start retweeting his Pandemic Paul fucking tweets, telling everybody to stay home and wear a mask, and maybe he'll start to love you again.
I can't. I'm blocked. For
That's
real.
Funny.
I know you are.
Look, I got stories for days that people wouldn't believe, and maybe some would if they really knew them. And I got to tell you, the things, including something extremely recently that I could, if I wanted to cause a problem or just get headlines, I could say. You wouldn't
please
even believe.
do. I need
No, because I'm not that guy.
I'm fucking with you. I'm kidding.
I'm not that guy, but just as a fan, they'll always be a special band to me. And I say this all the time. Every band I love, I have an era that I didn't like.
Yeah,
and for most bands, it's okay if you say that. For some reason with KISS, when you do, you get painted as a devil despite the fact that you support the hell out of them. So it's just that he's a really sensitive guy. But when it comes to Aerosmith, I love Aerosmith. I hate Just Push Play. You go on and on. I love UFO. I hate Misdemeanor. I mean, It's fine to say that for most bands. For some reason with him, if you have something that's counter to the agenda and you've got a pretty decent reach, doesn't fall in line with the marching orders at the time.
You hate Just Push Play more than Music from Another Dimension?
Oh God, yeah.
Really?
Music from Another Dimension would have been a good record if they cut 5 songs off of it.
I could see that.
And I love Legendary Child on that record.
Yeah.
Before we get back to Kiss, Ed, thoughts? Done with Mirrors, most underrated Aerosmith record.
Is that a question?
Yeah.
I just read the Ted Templeman book, and he did that record. He was actually intended to do the next record too.
Permanent Vacation, yeah.
Yeah, but they history was made with the next choice of producers, I guess.
I can't say it's the most underrated because I think I like the record a lot, but I think that Night in the Ruts is way more underrated. And I think Night in the Ruts is an amazing record. And I also love Rockin' a Hard Place, which is super underrated.
I love Rockin' a Hard Place.
Those 3 records are amazing records.
That whole era, yeah.
Yeah. The Jimmy Crespo years.
Really quick from the chat room, Lori busting balls. He says, instead of shock me, it's block me. All right. So now we go to Hard Times, the Ace song versus Two Sides of the Coin.
What was the second song?
Two sides of the coin.
Oh, right. We had this conversation. I'm going to go Hard Times by a hair. With no explanation. With no exposition, no further, just Hard Times.
I'm going Two Sides of the Coin, mostly because of the drum break.
That is pretty bitchin', yeah.
I think Hard Times is one of, if not my favorite Ace song in Kiss's catalog. I'm going Hard Times. I love that song.
That's a good one.
Edward?
Hard Times against what?
Two Sides of the
Two Sides of the Coin.
Again, Ace versus Ace.
Hard Times. It's funny how it lines up like that.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Like they're
Hard
like,
Times.
it's your song, but you go in order.
I got to go Hard Times because, again, Two Sides, as fun as it is, it gets into that wordy, forcing a rhyme Ace lyrics.
You've given this a lot of thought. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do my best,
Yeah,
That's
I dig it. Yeah.
That's what I'm here
I
for.
like Hard Times. I like Hard Times because again, nobody listens to Kiss for lyrics, but it is Ace's story. It's a street song,
Yeah.
And it's a great riff.
Super great riff.
Now we got Gene versus Gene. X-Ray Eyes versus She's So European.
Oh, I know what Chad's going to pick, but I'm X-Ray Eyes is a great song. I think Gene really sings it. Actually, Gene sings the shit out of both those songs. But when Gene, because he built that character and he has to sing in that character all the time. And once in a while, he'll kind of step out a little bit, and that's one of those ones. The solo album has a lot of that stepping out.
Right.
And this one I think does too, where he really kind of shows off a bit, which I dig.
Well, I think that's maybe part of the problem with this record is you can't really see the demon singing "She's So European." Like it was just the juxtaposition on it was just fucked. But I'm still going "She's So European."
Look, before we move on to Paul, do you think that might be the problem with these two records? Is you can't picture those characters singing those songs?
I think it's a large part of it. Yeah.
And I think it also goes back to like the characters became bigger than the music. And like I said earlier, Kiss were never as heavy as everybody thought they looked. And I feel like the characters became bigger than the music for some people.
Well, and let's be honest, the characters are going to outlive, they're going to keep going anyway.
They already have, haven't they?
Right?
Yeah.
They are going to be Guar.
Well, I'm out.
Yes, 100%.
No matter who's under the mask.
Yeah, it won't.
All right, Paul, what's your choice?
What were we doing again?
X-Ray Eyes versus European.
Yeah, X-Ray Eyes. I'm not. I don't love European as much as everybody else.
X-Ray Eyes. Also, X-Ray Eyes, a very, very cool Ace solo.
Very cool solo, yeah.
Yeah, I got to go X-Ray Eyes as well. It's just, I don't know. It's like so many of these songs on Unmasked, they sound like they're a fucking B-side in a 80s B cheesy comedy movie. It's like they just sound like,
It was like from the Lost Weekend at Bernie soundtrack or something.
Yeah, exactly. Or God, even worse, like Fraternity Vacation, but that music's better.
Wow.
All right.
So what do you do with the 2 songs left on Unmasked? You put them against each other?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, what do we have? We have one before then, right? Or no?
Yep. Save Your Love versus Easy as It Seems.
You are correct, sir.
That's tough. You know what's so funny is I'm actually doing a COVID video very soon for Easy as It Seems with some friends of mine from Canada.
Really?
Yeah. That's a pretty badass song, actually.
It is a badass song.
Yeah, I kind of forgot how badass it was until you had to kind of get into it. Like you kind of like look at the song structure and went, this is very clever. That said, Save Your Love.
Exactly. You couldn't have said it better for me.
Yeah. Save Your Love is another. It's one of those examples from like, you know, you get that little. He dips his toe in the pool with Shock Me on Love Gun, and then all of a sudden it's Ace Frehley just running, you know, solo album, and then Dynasty. It's just like then you're just loading up and in many ways his songs are some of my favorite. That's why I have to go with when we were talking about 2000 Man earlier. Yeah. As a kid, I didn't know what that was. I just thought it was a cool ass song about the future.
Do you think that's because Ace got a chip on his shoulder because his solo record did better than everyone else's?
I'm not sure, but I think it's a very curious conversation because he was a very prolific writer already with Cold Gin and Parasite,
Strange Ways.
He just
and
wasn't
you probably
singing.
know this. How pissed off was he by this point?
He wanted to leave, and the reason I brought this up to him privately and publicly in the past, I mean, look, those 78 solo records caused a lot of problems in retrospect because going into it, there was a lot of divide and drama and weirdness. And then the guy that the people had the least expectations for making a good record makes the record and is the only one to have the hit. Mm-hmm. And that blew his head up. And now I can be a solo artist. And he was already thinking about, you know, being disillusioned about everything. So I always viewed his increased involvement in Dynasty and Unmasked directly to the fact that they wanted to keep him on the hook and keep him interested and, you know, feed him and make him sort of an equal contributor vocally and writing wise to hold on to him in the band. And I think that's what a lot of that was about at the time.
But Gene and Paul aren't dummies either. They know that Ace Frehley was a very sort of like beloved personality, so that when something like New York Groove becomes a hit song, they go, well, we have to have him sing more songs because they know him now, and we can use that to our own benefit as a fourth member of KISS, as a fourth voice in KISS, really. So there's always that Beatles aspect of like, there was never really just like a lead singer and some backup guys. It was always 4 separate entities. And when Ace finally stepped out that way, he stepped way out, you know, and like in many ways, maybe much further than anybody else for a minute.
Right.
And think about this. The cracks were really showing during these 2 records with Peter. Unmasked, he's basically out already. Yeah. And Dynasty's hanging by a thread.
Yeah.
So Gene and Paul also aren't stupid to know, hey, we may lose our first original member in Peter. We can't lose half the band out of the box.
No.
Right. So that was also like, let's keep feeding some carrots to Ace.
And they're also smart enough to have Peter on the artwork for an album he's not even involved in, and for all intents and purposes was already out of the band. You know,
right. Even though he was in the video.
And with Creatures for Ace.
Absolutely.
Yep. So where did we leave off? I think Ed and Paul haven't gone yet.
No, Go, Paulie.
That's my Easy as It Seems is my favorite song on Unmasked. Despite the keyboards that drive me crazy every time I listen to it, I love Paul too much. I'm going Easy as It Seems.
Easy as It Seems against what again?
Save Your Love.
Save Your Love. Easy as It Seems is super disco-y. I mean, that bass line is super disco-y. Yeah. I mean, it's like that's really like, out there, poppy, disco-y. The keyboards, I agree, are super over the top, too much. There's literally a keyboard break in that song, which is crazy. I mean, again, Paul's vocal. I mean, Paul was singing great during this time on these records.
Yeah.
All his vocals on these two records are just so powerful and so great. But Save Your Love is a really great song. A great lead guitar solo break from Ace.
Yeah.
And you know what I love about that song also is Kiss didn't sing together enough for my taste.
Agreed.
And when you hear the chorus on that song and you hear Paul really high in the mix in the chorus going, save your love.
Save it, yeah.
I love that.
We always talk about that because you know how in like you can hear Gene all over Shandy in the background too. It's like I love when you can hear the other guys' voices in the songs.
And on the fade of Save Your Love, if you listen, because we're all geeks, at the very end, as it fades out, you turn it up loud, and you hear Paul over the end going, "Save your love." Remember that part? He sings the lead part right on the fade of the song. I wish they did more of that. Throughout their whole career, I know they did it a lot, but I wish they did it even more.
Absolutely.
They sang great together. I mean, that was the thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those voices mended so well together, which was part of the magic.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. They could harmonize. Man, oh man, you get a lot of hat changes. It's like
I went home. I brought home all these helmets.
It's like going to a Cher concert with all the costume changes.
All my helmets when I was a kid. So now we got the last two songs on Unmasked, Torpedo Girl and You're All That I Want.
Oh boy.
As cool as Torpedo Girl is, because it's just so fucking weird.
Yeah.
I gotta go with You're All That I Want.
Yeah.
I can't.
Paul's vocal on that is unbelievably good.
We were talking about Ace's rhyming lyrics.
No. You're All That I Want, sung by Gene, Chad.
Yeah.
That's right. Sorry. Yeah. Gene's vocal is what I meant. Yeah.
Although same scenario, Save Your Love,
with the harmony.
Because you hear Paul big time in that chorus.
Yeah.
You're all that I want, and he sings over the top too.
Yep.
Totally.
That's what I was gonna. That's just you can go Eddie if you want. I was gonna say. I'll go. The Torpedo Girl lyrics rhyme too much. It's like Dr. Seuss lyrics. I can't handle it. I'm just, you know what? No. And I love Gene and Paul together. You're all that I need. That's it for me.
Yep. Yeah. Same here.
Yeah, I'll have to go that way too. Although I have to say, Torpedo Girl has definitely got a real soft spot in my heart because I love when Ace gets. It seems like that one's one of those songs where they just kind of turned him loose. Like I don't even know if anybody else is in the studio except him and Anton.
Completely went off the rails or on the rails, whichever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like the riff is dope, and it's like you could just tell he's having the time of his life, and it just really translates. But yeah.
And you can tell it's not Peter Criss because there's double bass in it.
Yeah,
that's true.
Right?
That's true.
I already said I love You're All That I Want. It's one of my favorite Gene songs from that era. I did see him do it live, which is crazy. That of the last song on Unmasked was one of the two they did when I saw them at the Palladium in 1980. So I like it. It's got a pretty crunchy open, and I love Gene and Paul singing on the chorus, and I just think it's a cool song. I actually just recently heard the demo for it on YouTube or something. The demo, it might be on the Vault thing. I don't know where it originally came from, but I did hear the demo online, and it was interesting to hear the way the song evolved. But it was, I'd definitely go with that one.
Who wrote that one?
That was, tell us who wrote this.
That might be Gene and Ponce, I would think.
You are correct, sir.
There you go. Yeah, I just found this. Check it out. The set list for the Palladium show. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Do you have time for this?
Yeah. Of course. We got plenty of time.
Detroit, Cold Gin, Strutter, Dr. Love. Is that you? There's the first Unmasked song.
Oh, they did.
Firehouse. Yeah. Firehouse, Tommy. There's your next Unmasked. You're All That I Want. So Ed's memories intact. 2000 man guitar solo post man. I Was Made for Loving You, Love Gun, Shut It Out Loud, bass solo into The God of Thunder, drum solo into Rock and Roll. And then for encore, New York Groove, King of the Nighttime World, and Black.
Wow.
I love that.
New York Groove in there.
Great set.
Let me tell you something else about that show, having been there, and I have photos of this show. There's one in my first book. It's a great shot because you see Eric Carr very clearly. I didn't take it, but I was with friends and they took the photo. But they were using the Dynasty same stage.
Yeah.
But the Palladium, for those that don't know, which it's no longer there, but it was like a 3,000 cap theater in New York.
Right.
And so everything had to be way pared down. They didn't have the little stairways off of the stage, off of the drum riser, but it was the same look. It was all the same Dynasty stuff they could fit in there. Now, everybody knows that on that show, Dynasty, God of Thunder, Gene elevates up into the rafters, sings the song from there, comes down. Well, it's a small place. There's nowhere to go up. There's not enough elevation to do that. You can't rig that into the ceiling. So as an alternate, what he did, and I will never forget this, is they had PA stacks on either side of the stage with a little stairway up to the top. So Gene went up to one side of the PA. So say he's like stage right, and he's doing the blood thing and the whole intro to God of Thunder. And then the song starts, and instead of going up, he had the harnesses on, and he was supposed to swing across the stage to the other PA stack and land there and do his bit there. He does the bit, he leaves, he swings, he goes over to the other side, and he whiffs on the landing, swings back, and swings like a pendulum for a minute in the middle of the stage.
Oh, that's great.
Oh my God.
Oh man,
I love it.
Those are the risks you take when you do that kind of shit in your show. It's like
right.
Yeah.
There's some news footage on YouTube. The local news here in New York covered that show, and there is news footage of them just before they go on stage and just covering it out on the street, talking about it. And I remember it was there was a lot of excitement just because first time you were seeing KISS with a new member, and but it was the hardcores that were in there, and they made a shirt that said "I was there" with the S in was the KISS S, and it just had the date of the show on it. Those are super collectible. I didn't even get one, but John 5 probably has 4 of them.
He probably does.
Yeah, probably.
John and Sebastian can account for all of them. Yeah.
Dude, I find him on fucking eBay, and I fucking buy him right now, and I taunt John 5 with them.
So it sounds like, going through track like we did, it sounds like Dynasty totally.
Unless Chad will fight you on that, but yeah.
I will fight you on that.
I know, but track by track like we did.
They're actually, well, I mean, if
seem pretty close to me.
It's pretty close. Yeah, it's pretty neck and neck, but I think I'd give the slight neck to, I mean, for me, it was like, we all talked about this, it was like, oh, they lost all their fans and all this. It was such a radical change, but I was like 9 or something like that. So at the time it was kind of like, it was a new KISS record. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
And you didn't really even have the wherewithal to kind of go, what's with these like Vegas showgirl, like, the outfits are like super over the top.
Total share. They're total share outfits. 70.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And then like the Peter with the big fur and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But at the time, you're like, this is completely acceptable. You're just like, this is awesome, And then the next album, it's kind of like, although it was jarring to have lost Peter Criss, I was also kind of excited about like, well, who's this new guy and what's this going to be like? But I'm that guy. I was still there with Elder going like, have you heard this? To my friends.
Me too.
Where is everybody? I mean, Creatures of the Night, day one. I bought it at the store. I was the guy that, that's who I am.
And Killers was a huge moment because of the 4 songs on it that I was, again, in line at the Palladium to see Iron Maiden. There was a import record store around the corner from the theater, and I'm waiting in the line to go in, and a guy walks by with Killers. you didn't know that album even existed or was coming
yeah,
out.
right, yeah.
And I was like, what the hell is that? And he's like, it's a KISS record. There's 4 new songs. And I swear, like, me and a bunch of people on the line just broke right off the line and went running over to buy one. And then when you heard Nowhere to Run and Legend Tonight and all that, you were like, that was the first sign that, okay, they're on their way back to being KISS again.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And they were not only that, they were taking it up a notch or a few notches, really.
And I think Eric Carr had a lot to do with that because he was more of a rock, like I'm not gonna say a Bonham guy, but he was a bombastic sounding drummer. I think that kind of led to that going back to the heavy side.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a very unique drummer. I was just Heavens on Fire came on in the car today. I'm driving, and
that
I'm like,
tom part's fucking fantastic.
It's bananas. Yeah, you're like, and I'm thinking like I've heard that song 1,000 times in my life, but you're like, it comes on, and you're like, oh hell yeah, I haven't heard this in a minute. And the verses are pretty like, normal hi-hat kind of drum beat, but when he gets to that chorus, it was a big, and I'm like, wow, what a very unusual and unconventional drummer. But I think that really made them their own band, really.
Yeah.
It's like, so we've been doing that Bruce Kulick thing on the cruise, and we play nothing but non-makeup KISS.
Yeah.
And to guys like me who are invested, and everybody present here, I kind of think to myself, well, I love all this stuff. Does anybody give a shit if we play like, all this crazy shit? And everybody
goes bananas.
You can't dig deep enough. Like you cannot dig deep enough.
Right.
If we decided to find like old like answering phone messages or something, we would still win. It's because you realize how many. Because I'm of the age group where I was still a kid when they had the makeup on, where the transition happened.
Yeah.
Where some guys, a lot of my friends are sometimes 5, 10, 15 years younger than me, and they found KISS in the MTV heavy metal days, where they were just another hard rock band. That I guess they wore makeup at one point, but boy, Lick It Up is bitching, or whatever they were doing.
Right.
That whole period is a whole new band.
That's in the 80s too.
And I think, like I said, we're our age. We came in right at the tail end, but also you get someone like Jericho who swears they're better without makeup than they are with makeup, and
he's not alone.
And there's a lot, and he's our age too. So it's where you came in at what point in time that dictates how do you feel. And like I said, Dynasty was the first KISS record that I owned as a fan because I didn't have to go back and relearn it and discover it.
It came out when you were actually buying age.
I was 9 years old, and it was like I remember it at that point. It's not, and again, I didn't have anyone older. No one introduced me to KISS. I had to discover them on my own. So you know what? Hearing I Was Made for Loving You on the radio meant something to me because it was not what my mom listened to.
Well, they were still pretty dangerous too, because even in like 16 magazine and all that, when it's like Leif Garrett and the Bay City Rollers, and you're like, KISS looked, by juxtaposition, KISS was super dark. And that's why I think that's like you say, Paul, that their music seemed darker and heavier just by the way that they appeared and the way that they presented themselves. So to their credit, one way or the other, in memory, it's kind of like I make big claims about the KISS the first album. To me, has in retrospect become one of my favorite KISS albums, and I have a lot of conversations about it. Everybody's like, but the tempos are all slow, the guitar sounds are too clean, and I go, yeah, but 80% of that album could be played live right now, and they'd be like totally classic songs. Kiss in Time and Love Theme from KISS are the only two songs you probably couldn't play. And maybe what's the other Sunday Driver one?
Time was a cover, right?
Yeah, that was later on. They added that.
I love Kiss in Time. I love their version of Kiss in Time.
Cover. Yeah, that was a cover though. That's what I was,
Yeah. But
they added it later, didn't they?
Real quick, going back to Unmasked. So I was 15 when Unmasked came out. I remember vividly my aunt driving me to the mall to get it. And the thing that I don't know if any of you guys realize about Unmasked was that the rumor was the album was called Unmasked because when you opened the record, inside in the dust cover would be the first picture of them unmasked without makeup. So I remember getting that record and couldn't wait to slit the side and open it up. And I remember being really pissed.
Yeah, of course. Well, to be fair, they do unmask that big post. It's them taking their masks off. It just happens to be the same exact faces under the mask. So.
And then the great thing about it is we all know, if you lived KISS in that era, that you were completely crucified by people for liking KISS. So I love the fact that in the little cartoon at the end, the guy says, "I still say they suck," because that's all I heard in high school.
Right.
That's all I heard in high school, and I was like, that's kind of I kind of like connected with that.
Yep.
I thought that was pretty ballsy of them to put that on the cover of their album for sure. Yeah.
So the consensus is that Dynasty nudges out Unmasked.
Unless you're Chad, he'll meet
Chad.
you in the parking lot at Ralph's on Ventura with a knife. Bring your own knife. BYOK.
So before we get to the Ace record, I want to go through the chat room because I've been neglecting the chat room. Jeffro Lee Ross says, "Izzy, please ask Paul if there's a relaunch date for Metal Edge on the calendar. Tell Eddie he rules. And when is Chad selling smoked hams from Devil Crown?"
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Right?
It is I may need your help on that one.
Brother. Chad, I've been rocking the Devil Crown shirt. Believe it or not, I just got it.
Really?
So when you gave it to me on the cruise, my friend Ron, the photographer, took it, and he's been holding it ever since. And I just saw him for the first time the other day, and he handed it to me. He goes, "You told me you actually wanted this." And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And I saw it was yours, so I've been rocking it.
Right on. Thanks, man.
And as for the Metal Edge thing, Izzy's been pushing me. He's my Mickey in my corner going, "Paul, you got to do this. Paul, you got to do this." It's Izzy and I have to have a few conversations. We're going to figure something out.
Yeah.
Brandon Fields says, I will say this. It's not going to come back as a magazine right out of the gates. It's just right now I don't have the time. I refuse to stop managing bands because I love it. So it's not going to be a magazine out of the gates because I can't devote that much attention to something that honestly no one sells magazines anymore. But we're going to be able to the goal is to be able to do like on-demand back issues, on-demand annuals, stuff like that. And then Izzy and I have been talking about a few ideas to bring maybe a podcast, something with metal. There's a couple different varieties of podcasts we could do. But there's going to be something happening. My goal was to have a podcast up and running about a month and a half ago, and I got too big fell in my lap that I didn't expect to, and I spent 4 months attached to Perry Farrell. So that's literally all I did for 4 months. So I'm kind of 4 months behind now in COVID. But hopefully moving forward, we'll get to something pretty quickly.
Beautiful. Brandon Field says, "Sure know something is Tonight You Belong to Me Part 2. And that being said, is still one of my favorite singers. Drums on the unplugged version made it even better."
Yeah, I would, yeah. Eric Singer taking it up a notch from Anton Fig, I guess.
Yeah. Just scrolling through this. Okay, had that one. Scotty from Canada says, "Dynasty is my first taste of KISS. I was made for loving you. Always seemed to play on the radio as we went to and from the trailer during the summer." Hey, you grew up in a trailer too. Welcome to my world, brother.
Maybe it's from the Trailer Park
Sledgehammer
Boys.
says the KISS universe is kind of diverse. The fans come off as assholes. I say this because they all say my favorite song sucks, and no, I'm not telling you what it is.
Pussy.
That is actually a great point.
Isn't that kind of
your favorite song sucks, dude? Mine is what's best.
Fans in general, I mean, how many people, when you're a big diehard fan of a band, how many people are like, my favorite, like the diehards? How many go, my favorite's the most commercial thing they had? And
Right. Yeah.
You don't get that.
Yeah. If you're a Van Halen fan and Jump's your favorite song or something, it's like, what?
You know, I'm a Queensryche fan, and everyone's shocked because I have a Operation Mindcrime tattoo. I'm like, okay. But even so, my favorite Queensryche record is Promised Land, and no one will ever tell you that. Like, so it's just, that's when you're a diehard, you just, you know, like Eddie said, I think it was Eddie, someone else might have said the burnout factor of I Was Made for Loving You. It's just like, I'll never get tired of that song. But
great song.
Do,
you don't hear it that often, actually. It's not like Rock and Roll.
That's because you don't live in my house, because that's my go-to KISS record.
It's a great sounding record too. It's a great sounding.
Yeah, sonically it still sounds great. That song comes on. I mean, it still sounds great. It really
it's a throwback for me. It takes me back to a place, you know. And that's
again, I think Ace throws down in that song too.
Oh, that solo is fantastic.
It's the quickest tiniest little solo. You know, it's like, and I'm like, wow, he just slays for that like one half of a bar. Almost.
It's just him reminding you how fucking rad he actually is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. They
Just
did
remind you.
they
Hat change.
remastered the video for that song and cleaned up the audio and picture on it. Universal, which owns their catalog now, is going through all their artists' old videos and doing bump ups to the quality and the color corrections and making the audio sound a little better. And you can see them. They're online. It's pretty cool.
Exciting.
Scotty says, sorry, it was a vacation trailer. Oh, so you were rich.
Wow. Yeah. He went from trailer park to rich. Yeah.
Right. All right.
Do you have hams in that? Do you have hams in that hat?
Yes, I do.
Oh, my man.
It's from the land of sky blue waters. But
I got you.
It's the beer refreshing. It's
your stimulus money in action, ladies and gentlemen.
There it is. And that was just for the hat.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I hand painted this myself. Can you tell?
After 6 hands.
Right. So we got about 14 minutes to dive into this Ace Frehley Origins Volume 2.
That's about 13 minutes more than I need.
I'm just going to start off and say this, and not because I'm a fucking Ace Wonker apologist. I really enjoyed the record. I thought it was better than the first Origins. I didn't like the Kinks cover, but I thought the fucking Robin Zander doing 30 Days in a Hole fucking ruled.
Yeah, that was great.
I love the version of She. And I love how he worked the live version into the studio version right before the fucking that weird breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
I love he just made the shit his own, even though it was still pretty true to the originals. I dug it. I really dug it.
I thought it was a lot of fun, and we had some conversation about it earlier. Doing stuff as like obvious as Jumpin' Jack Flash is a little bit kind of like, But I think the fact that Lita's on it kind of made me go, it actually sounds like a Runaways track or something almost, you know?
Right. But how cool would it have been to have her do "I'm a Bitch" or do "Bitch"?
Interesting. I just, for what it was, I thought it was pretty fun. I thought it sounds great. You know, it's like Ace singing "Good Times, Bad Times" is something I never thought I'd hear.
Yeah.
So okay. Right. Interesting.
And Ace played his fucking ass off.
Yeah. You go into these things, Ed's right. You go into these things, it's kind of like cover records, you kind of have to expect them to be something kind of a specialty, or you're not going into it to hear like, you know, because it's not new original music, you know, you're kind of what you're getting involved in. And I kind of went into it with this sort of like, it was fun, you know, I enjoyed it. I love the guy. I loved who was all involved in it. And am I being really Canadian and polite?
Yes. Look, it was fine. He did a good job on all the songs. I just listened to it. And I went, okay, that was fun. I listened to it another 2 times because I knew we were doing this. I'm never going to go back and listen to a cover record. I mean, unless they do something like, and again,
unless they do something interesting with it.
I'm a huge Queensryche fan. Okay, I love Queensryche. They did their cover album, and they did what I said Ace didn't do. They made every song their own. And honestly, I still can't listen to it that many times because it's so just self-indulgently Jeff making it Jeff's own that it's annoying to me. And I'm just like, so it's kind of just, it's a cover record. Just every once in a while, I'll go back to the Queensryche one and listen just because I want to hear again what he did with the Police or Pink Floyd or something. But at the end of the day, if I want to hear Ace, I'm going to go listen to Ace. I'm not going to listen to a cover record.
Have you ever heard the original version of Gonna Get Close to You from Rage for Order?
Yes, I have. Well, the original meaning the one that wasn't Queensryche.
Exactly.
The girl that did
it. Bello.
It's a Canadian artist named Lisa Del Bello. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. But no, it's very close in a different sort of way, but it is very close. But when Queensryche took that on, I remember going like, damn. Because it was kind of like a Kate Bush kind of thing in Canada. And they did a really great job of that. But yeah.
No, I was talking about, I think the name of the album was Undercover.
I remember that. Yeah, they did like Synchronicity and some weird shit.
They did Neon Nights.
Yeah, they did Neon Nights. And again, I love covers, and I'm fighting with one of my bands now. I'm fighting with them because I want covers from them, and we're going back and forth, but it's just like, I love covers, but I feel like put one on an album, an EP with B-side, like I just, a full album of it to me is just kind of
What about Dive Her Down though, dude? That's a long conversation. Dive Her Down. Boom.
That is a long conversation.
Oh yeah.
A long conversation for a short album.
Yeah.
All right. The conversation's longer than the record.
It's an undeniably great record though, for what it is. Yeah.
I agree with Paul about Ace's record. I mean, I've said that about covers records in general. I mean, they're the type of things I listen to 2 or 3 times, and okay, it's cool, and I get what they did, and it's cool to hear that person singing that song or their spin on it, but it's never going to be a go-to record for me. It's never, from any artist, it's never going to be the one that I go and grab and crank up and what have you. So I love that Robin Zander's on it. I thought it was cool that he did a thing with Bruce Kulick, the two of them on
the Kulick track was great.
Yeah,
I love that that he used his touring band to do She. That those guys are on there.
Yeah.
So
which is not an Ace Frehley song, so that was kind of cool that he did that.
Yeah. So there's definitely cool stuff. And look, Ace's voice, I think, on his recent solo records has been stronger than it's maybe ever been, which is crazy. I think he'll be the first to tell you he's not a great singer technically, but for him vocally, it sounds good and it's fun, and it's Ace. I mean, he's got such a strong character to what he does and his personality that it's going to come through on all that stuff.
Absolutely.
I thought the Animals song was pretty cool.
There's some weird choices of songs.
Well, that was kind of my problem with the record. Yeah. It's and like some of them are too safe, and then some of them are so out there that you're like, that doesn't make any sense at all. But
I like the Mountain track, but you're right, Chad. It's like half Lola, Good Times, Bad Times stuff you really know. Really well, Jumpin' Jack Flash, and then half obscure songs, Paul Revere and the Raiders, whatever. So I think that's probably a pretty smart idea to keep people interested. And that Paul Revere song I didn't know at all, but
right.
But the Mountain thing, I thought him doing. I was like, thank God, not another cover of Mississippi Queen.
Yeah, that was badass. I really actually did like the fucking. We got to get out of this place. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, that was good.
I love
that. That's a great song.
That one to me was the one that sounded most like he was making it his own, even though it was pretty close to the original. But it sounded like when Ace did "Do Ya." You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
It still sounded like the original, kind of, sort of, but he definitely made it his own. That was one of the ones that I was like, yeah, you know what? This is pretty fucking rad.
I mean, he's so distinctive. His voice, there's some of the best vocalists. They don't necessarily have the best singing voice. Ace has just such a distinctive style when he sings that he's going to inherently make everything his own. And that's what made the album interesting to me.
He's a character. It's like he's sort of like in when we were talking about those KISS records, it's like those guys all figured out their characters. And although Ace is just being Ace, he's kind of comes more from the school of, I suppose Bob Dylan or Jimi Hendrix, where they're not thought of as vocalists, but they have such distinctive thing. And then sometimes that's more important than being able to sing, all the right notes and all that kind of stuff. I think
Keith Richards.
Keith Richards, exactly.
Eddie, now that you bring up Keith Richards, when you were talking to Ace yesterday on the show, he says, I hung out with Keith Richards. Could you imagine that conversation and that night? Ace Frehley and Keith Richards in the 70s together?
Oh, boy.
I wish you would have went there. That was like, oh, my God, you have to ask him.
I didn't even catch that, actually, now that you're bringing it up. But I will say this.
Finding the emails.
I will say this that I did say to him yesterday on the air, which is kind of true and crazy if you think about it. So Ace was always the lazy fuck up, won't do anything, won't turn into anything guy, always painted by Gene and Paul as the guy that's uncreative, can't do stuff, can't get it together. Not uncreative, but, lazy, can't get it together, not interested in producing things, won't show up for stuff. He's the only guy making new music and putting out new records from anybody of any era of KISS.
He's made more new music in like the last 4 years than Gene and Paul have made combined in their career. It's just
but Ed, the new Soul Station record's coming. I know you're waiting with bated breath.
Speaking of covers records, and also and this is probably why he doesn't like me, but I don't care. You have a guy who has clearly struggled tremendously vocally, but I'm going to tackle the most difficult vocal stuff ever created. So as a result, you get him dancing and scatting on the mic while the people in the women in the back are the ones doing all the heavy lifting. Look closely, that's what's going on. But I mean, whatever, man. That's his passion. Have fun, you know.
I'm very curious. I actually admire guys for doing something that off the wall. Like, I'm gonna make a reggae record or something like that. I was like, oh, knock yourself out.
It's like David Lee Roth wanting to sing Steelheart. You know? I'm gonna.
Now that I want to hear.
Yeah,
no, you
Make
don't.
that happen. Make that happen.
No, you do not.
All right, I'm gonna.
It's like David Lee Roth trying to sing David Lee Roth.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Stop it.
Again, before we bounce, Lori from Australia says unmasked for me. Of course.
Of course, Australia.
Yep, there you go. My people.
Bruce from Canada. Oh, hold on, we'll play the effect for you. Because you ask Eddie what he thinks of the idea of KK's Priest. I know it's off topic, but I'm wondering.
Ooh, yeah, that's an interesting conversation.
I think it's great that Ripper's singing. I love Les Binks is an amazing drummer, and I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what he comes up with. I love KK. I love him. He's a great guy, and if he wants to play again, and they don't want to have him back in, I just can't wait to see what he does.
Totally.
I agree with that. I love the fact that Ripper's doing it. I think that's.
I think it'll be great.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, if you want to get technical, Priest is currently constituted, unfortunately, is down to two members of the classic lineup.
Yep.
So the disparity in terms of, you know, classic members, if you will, Priest has obviously Ian and Rob. KK's thing is going to have KK, Ripper, who did 2 studio records, Les Binks, who did some classic records. So if you really, obviously Rob is Rob, and whenever you got the voice, you got the voice. But you really, it's not, in terms of like validity by members, not that far off, because sadly what Glenn's going through.
I mean, you want to do that, like, Kiss is more legitimate than Judas Priest at this point, because they've got 50% of their lineup and Priest have 40.
Wow, if you're going to put it in those terms.
Well, hold on, Paul.
From a sheer numbers point of view, yeah.
Paul, if you're gonna look at that, what do you make of Queensryche down to two guys versus Jeff Tate?
No, absolutely.
Does anybody think that Tate is going to reunite with the guys that aren't in the band now?
No.
Good question.
No.
No. Just let's straight up. Absolutely not.
Because DeGarmo's not coming back.
No.
And Scott, no, I talked to Scott like a year ago, but I'm hearing some things not great about, you know, how Scott's doing, even though he told me he was doing great. But I don't know what's going on with Scott, and I don't think DeGarmo's coming back, so I don't see that happening. But that would be crazy if Tate did a band with DeGarmo and Scott.
Right.
Like, so that's nuts.
I mean, the reality is, based on my conversations with Jeff, and Chris isn't doing it, so it doesn't matter. I mean, it was literally like the minute everything went down with Scott and Scott was out of Queensryche, the first conversation was, wouldn't it be great if it was Jeff? I mean, Jeff and I were talking not long after that, and it was, you know, you, Chris, and Scott. Jeff's not there. DeGarmo's not doing anything right now. He's just not doing it. And honestly, if he was to do something, I did the last Queensryche interview with DeGarmo for the DVDs with Jeff and Chris in the same room. And I could tell you, if he was going to do something, he's not walking back into a shit show. And it's still a shit show. I mean, he left because he wanted to get away from all that. He's not going to jump into it now. I mean, so it's a fun thing to talk about, but it'll never happen. And
right.
There's no need for Jeff to bring Scott in other than to say screw you to the rest of the guys. And from a business perspective, ultimately someday they will reunite because everybody does. And why do the screw you? Jeff's not making any more money taking Scott into the band than he's making without Scott in the band. So what's the point in doing it? You're just putting the inevitable reunion off even further and creating more bad blood. Right. And I don't think Jeff wants to do that. It's not even about reuniting. Jeff's just beyond all the bad blood, and he's at peace with everything. So there's no point in doing that.
No, it's funny. It's ironic. You said you did that last interview, but I did the first interview with them with Todd as the official singer for Queensryche, and I introed them for the very first time as Todd as the official singer for Queensryche at Halfway.
Not Rising West.
Yeah, it was Queensryche
because they were originally Rising West.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it was after they won the lawsuit when they were able to use the name Queensryche. And their first gig as Queensryche with Todd was at Halfway Jam, and I introed.
And here's the thing: I saw them for the first time. Because of my history with Jeff and everything, I haven't gone out of my way to. Well, I have history with Queensryche too, which prevented me. I'm in the same situation with the Queensryche guys that Eddie is with Paul Stanley. So it's like I saw them for the first time because I was trapped on a ship they were playing on, and I'm like, if they're playing, I'm going to go see them. And they were great. And I walked up to every guy and told each guy individually how great I thought they were with Todd. It's just not the same. And that's, you run into that all the time. It's like Todd does a great job with that stuff. I heard Todd's doing a solo record. I'm dying to hear it. I think it'll be great. I'm still a Jeff guy. I long for the day that they play together again. And I hope it happens.
Is that the only reason you're friends with Red Cup Jeff is because he spells it like Jeff Tate?
No. I met Jeff through Chris, through Jericho.
There you go.
Yeah, fucking hosers.
And if you spend enough time in Vegas, Red Cup Jeff. That's just
All right, last gimmick. Jeffro Lee Roth says David Lee Roth has ate more pussy than anyone here, and he's a legend. Fight me.
I'm not.
No one's arguing
I'm not
that.
Fighting anybody named Jethro Lee Roth. That's just
And,
what a criteria that is.
Yeah. And lastly, Lori.
He's in that trailer park with you, Is.
And lastly, Lori says, "Solid set, guys. Kiss versus Twisted Sister. Fucking Kiss.
Kiss.
Oh God.
Yeah, Kiss, I guess. Kiss. Well, Kiss for me, obviously, but yeah.
I mean, the body of
Sister.
work is not even close. I mean,
no, I know.
Twisted's like 4 records, and Kiss is like 40 records. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. You guys got anything to pimp before we make a tree like a tree and get out of here?
I got new mix coming.
Really?
I have a mild version coming.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
So we'll have the mild and the hot, and we got the dry rub, devilscrownmix.com. Go get it.
Yep.
Great.
The mix was a big hit.
How did I know you don't? I've been on a smoking kick lately. You have a dry rub?
Yes, I have. I'll bring you one.
We have to talk. Yeah, because
next time you're at the Rainbow, I'll bring you one.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, probably. Yes.
What time?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I want to try that.
Is the Rainbow open, you guys?
Yes, patio, and they took the parking lot of the Roxy.
Oh wow!
So it's all
their
outside.
parking lot. So they put all seating where you would pull in for valet is all seating now, and then they have the patios. They're not allowed to have indoors, but they have full outdoor dining. You're not allowed to go to the bar. You have to sit at a table, and it has to be waitress service.
Yeah.
Cool. So is Will DJing in the parking lot?
No, Will is not DJing right now.
Bummer.
And I know the parking lot just got extended through the end of the year. So that doesn't mean at some point they might not allow people to eat inside, but it means they are now able to serve outside through the end of the year. Because there's different zoning. You have to be zoned to do that, and the zoning's got extended.
Right.
Got it.
Todd, what do you got pimping?
Really good. They do a really good job there. We've been
they do.
We go about once a week. It's just good to get out of the house. I mean,
of course. Yeah.
And obviously tomorrow night.
What?
And obviously tomorrow night, I guess.
Yeah, if you're going tomorrow night, let me know. I'll run you up some mix or some.
No, I was joking about tomorrow night. I mean, my guess is we'd be there sometime over the weekend or something. But yeah, it was. I think Rico went today. Actually, I think she was there for lunch with Amy.
Nice.
She did from the other end of the house. But
Todd,
I'll let you know, Chad.
All right.
Todd, what do you got? What do you got to pimp?
I got a new single out, and it's sort of apropos because it's from 2 guys from Ace Frehley's band.
Nice.
Matt Starr and Jeremy Asbrock and I have a side project called Minefield, and we put out a single and you can find it on YouTube. And
that's
all
all
those
Brandon
crazy
Fields,
places.
right?
And Brandon Fields, I'm sorry, I was going to bring him up. It's pretty much his thing. And he and then the Ace guys got a hold of me, and I was like, sounds like fun, because I'm sitting on the couch watching Sopranos for the 10th time or something.
Right.
And it was like,
what's it
so
called?
yeah,
That's what you're doing, Ed.
I just started doing that. I just started on HBO Max with season 1 all over again.
Oh yeah, that's a fun trip. You got to do that. Yeah.
The greatest. Hey, who is the one guy I don't know in that band, Todd? Who is Brandon Fields?
He's a young guy. I swear he's like 24, 25. Jeremy calls me and he goes, look, I got this young guy I know. He's really a go-getter and great ideas. He's actually a really killer guitar player. So he's got this thing, and the next thing I know, it was up and running like before I even got involved. And I was sort of like, okay, well, who's playing bass on this? And they're like, not sure yet. I'll go, well, I guess I'll play bass on it because I play bass with Slash. And then I sing a batch of the songs, and then
Nice.
it's really fun. It's been so much. It's been a blessing, really, because it was a lot of like during that period where you're like, I guess this is it. I guess this is what I do now. I don't play music. I just kind of like, it's like early retirement without like a retirement package.
Right.
Yeah.
First retirement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Puttering around in the garden. Well, I don't even do that. So
Or
mostly just
talking into
watching
a
TV.
computer screen.
Exactly. When can we make this our career? Like on remember when Hollywood Squares back in the
Yeah,
day?
right? Let's do that.
I didn't even know
you
what
two have
those.
to host Rock and Roll
Don't
Hollywood
tell
Squares.
anybody. I actually do. I actually have made this my career, but don't let the secret out. Because I actually do this for a living.
I remember as a kid, I didn't know who Ruth Buzzy was, or I didn't know what they had done. They were always on, like, they were like just famous for being famous, I guess.
Yeah.
I could do this. I can talk. I can answer questions.
See, I always like the match game because
Rip
you
Torn.
had an episode that had
yeah.
when you had an episode that had Charles Nelson Riley and Nipsey Russell, you knew you were in for a good night.
Yeah,
exactly. Again, I didn't know what those guys' background was. They were just
Doesn't
on
matter.
a show. Yeah, it didn't matter. So I don't think it matters in this context either. Can I just do this now? This is my
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm just
Well,
the guy who
trust
makes
me,
the rounds.
Trust me, personally, it doesn't pay.
Yeah,
That's
but
the difference.
I think you're onto
Hollywood
something with this
Squares.
Rock and Roll Hollywood Squares.
Are you,
There
are
you
you
go.
prepared for a
There you
lifetime of drinking hams exclusively? I didn't even know they still made hams. But
I didn't know
God
that
damn,
either.
they do.
I've
Sean, you
learned
got
something
anything to
today.
pimp?
I've got, what do I have? I think I mentioned earlier, it's finally, I think today I got word that we're finally done completely. I co-wrote the book in the Perry Farrell's upcoming box set with Perry, which was a huge undertaking. That kind of got me through COVID because basically May through July, it was just 100% Perry Farrell all the time. Now I'm working on, in addition to all my management stuff, I'm A&Ring a record project for a role-playing game. As a huge nerd who used to play Dungeons and Dragons as a kid, this is a big deal. Somebody's coming out with a Dungeons and Dragons metal-inspired role-playing game called Gods of Metal Ragnarok.
What?
I'm handling all the music for it. So I'm putting together a vinyl compilation. There's some awesome like Anthrax, Armored Saint. There's a bunch of really cool metal stuff on it. Some never heard before.
I gotta let Danko Jones know about this. He will lose his mind.
Really? Well, let's talk then. I got like 2 or 3 slots left, and I want people who love D&D.
Oh,
So
he's
that's
your guy right there.
Jericho. I've got an unheard Fozzy track.
Cool.
Actually, back from the days when I A&R'd at Century Media, there were leftover Fozzy tracks, and we're using one of those. But it's like, yeah, we've got it's a cool thing. It's a good project. That's going to be getting announced. The Kickstarter campaign for that's going to happen in mid-November. No,
Kickstarter. So it's been well funded.
That's the Kickstarter. And one of the Kickstarter things, if you pledge a certain amount on Kickstarter, you're going to get the vinyl. It's going to be a double vinyl, and then the vinyl case opens out into the playing board for the Dungeon Master. It's a cool thing.
Well done.
Nice.
Beautiful.
You missed my joke. I said, "Ooh, Kickstarter." So it's been well funded.
No, but in the gaming world,
I know. I'm just I'm busting balls.
Kickstarter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Eddie?
Well, every time I get a gig or something coming up as far as an appearance or something, it ultimately goes away a couple weeks before it's supposed to happen because of the world we're in. I mean, I had something in Dallas or Houston that was moved 3 times so far. But anyway, every day, Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 Eastern time, 10 to midnight Eastern, Sirius XM, volume 106. And for people that on Monday nights forever, I did a show on Hair Nation, which was mostly, unlike the Daily Show on Volume, which is almost all talk. That show was music and talk. And ever since COVID, that show by necessity has had to be pre-recorded. So it's really not been the show people knew. And I just found out like yesterday that that's going to come back, and I'm going to be able to start doing that one live as well, starting October 5th. So I'll be back to 6 live a week for SiriusXM, podcast every Thursday, the FM show. So still pumping out 8 radio shows or 8 broadcasts a week, 6 of them live, and waiting for things to get back to normal so I can come back to LA and hang with you maniacs at the Rainbow and start doing the monthly shows and get to where Todd is, because I was watching Monday Night Football last night and I was dying because they were showing all the Vegas stuff, and Vegas is my favorite spot. And I'm like, I was just jonesing to be out there with Zach and Brent and Todd and Ronnie Mancuso and hanging it there. I was like, I got to get out there with my boys. So as soon as things get normal, I want to do some shows from Vegas too. But yeah, there's a bunch of cool stuff in the works, but it's one of those things where, like, you know, every day you get a call about something and then you don't hear about it again. And it's all that. So you don't even bank on it. You wait to see how it plays out. But it's all good, and having fun doing the radio stuff. And that song, Todd, is really good.
Thank you.
So you want to come on and plug it or whatever, we'll set something up next week. I'll hit you up.
Let's do it.
For sure.
Make sure you bring your 12-inch.
Me, you, and Chad should do something. We'll get fucking Ahmed on it too.
Yes. Sounds good to me. That sounds good to me.
Do something off Unmasked or something stupid like
there
that.
You go. Now you're talking.
That'd be fun.
Here's what we got to do. I want to do this exercise when I get back to coming to LA every month like I used to and working from the studio there. I want to put together, because I started in with this one show. I had John Five and Brian Tishy in the studio at the same time. And we just went down this rabbit hole of, and I don't know if you've done this before, Izzy, but one of these days I'm going to do it either on my show with some group of people. But take the 4 KISS solo albums and create one great 10-track album.
Oh yeah, we did that. We did that about 2 months ago.
Oh, you did it. You guys did it here.
Yeah. And
it doesn't mean it was correct. Just so you know it.
Probably involved.
Mine was.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Actually, I would love to hear that on another show.
Yeah.
You're like, you guys did it 2 hours right now.
I did it with Ron Keel, Hal Sparks.
Oh, wow.
And Rand Belshare, who Ed just did that country version of Cherry Pie.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Did you all agree? Did you all agree on one final track listing?
No, we just all gave our own.
Oh, 4 different.
We all made our own record, but we also did it where, well, since they're doing this as a band and not just selecting tracks. So, like, for instance, I put Peter, and Ron did this too. Either Ron or Hal did this too. I put Peter on Speed Back to My Baby on lead vocals. So we swapped it up a little bit because they're doing it as a band, not as, okay, we'll just take this track from this track from this to make a record. Now, we did it as if they recorded this as a band.
Interesting.
Oh, my God. You're even geekier than I thought. Wow. That is
and it was great.
Like, I couldn't even think of that. That's
so yes, you could. Yes,
you're right. I could.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
if you ever do that, I want to be part of it.
Eddie's doing 8 radio shows a week. You're drinking 8 cams a night. That's why. That's why you have the time to think of that. And Eddie,
I think it's more like 18, but who's counting?
Yeah, exactly.
No, there's only 2 up here, and 1 in my hand.
There you go. That's 3. There you go.
Well, it's great seeing all you guys. Really.
You too. That was fun.
Absolutely. Thank
Always
you, guys.
fun.
Just hold on. We'll say goodbye off the air. Let me hit the Black Diamond outro music. Next week, I think I'll have a guest. We'll do another Van Halen Summit, and I know for sure next month's KISS Summit is going to be all female, except for me, even though I do have tits. So make sure you guys check out last week's show with Carrie Stevens, Eric Carr's ex-girlfriend. Ed, you need to have her on the show. Her book is fucking phenomenal.
I haven't read it.
You haven't read it? I'll get you guys in touch. Chad Stewart, Faster Pussycat, Moto Christ. Buy that fucking Devil's Crown stuff. Todd Kerns, check out everything that he has going on. Buy the new single, Paul Gargano. Stay tuned. That's all I got to say. And, of course, the great, the wizard, Eddie Trunk. And make sure you check out Ahmet Zappa's show, Rock Tales. It is on Is it on volume, Ed?
It's on volume. I think he does one a month.
Yeah, there you go.
See, that's the difference. When you have Zappa money, you work 1 time a month. Drunk, you work 8 times a week.
Love it. Speaking of Zappa money, if you guys enjoy what I do, PayPal is izzypresley at yahoo.com. CashApp, $ Izzy Presley, and of course, the real Izzy Presley at fucking the other gimmick, Venmo, whatever the fuck it is.
If you're wondering why you don't get enough money, it's because that's how badly you butcher when you ask.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I've had like 3 shots of Jack and 3 hams. Give me a fucking break. In like, an hour and 15 minutes. What can I say? Anyways, it's been another fucking podcast. See you guys next week. I do love you all. And don't forget what I lack in talent, I make for. Jesus Christ, I make up for it.
Fantastic.